week in my in the shower rooms, but it was my first hollow body hold in a 2 by 6 foot space. So that was like the toilet is on one side and the bench is on the other, and I'm in between them. That was super fun. I love finding those creative solutions too. So like it really helped me to elevate my level of thinking of like, this isn't just an obstacle, this is an opportunity to find a way to make things work for the unique situation that I was in.
Yes, I firmly believe, it's not a can't or a can, and, there's a lot of times you don't want to feel like just thinking positive. So just kind of make that little tweak and just ask yourself, what are the possibilities? Makes a world of difference. Instead of trying to have that
really
fake
does.
positivity, just say, okay, this sucks, but this is what I have. What are my possibilities with this? Just makes a whole complete different shift on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And when the shower rooms are too small, because that's happened, I will work out in the trucker lounge. I will work out in a rest area, picnic space when the weather is conducive. I'll work out in the back of an empty tractor or in the back of an empty trailer. If like when I'm stuck at a shipper or in a yard where it's just a bunch of dirt or gross concrete.
Yes, there's some and that's like, my first thought was when I first saw the thing with you working out in the bathroom, it's like, ooh, I bet that floor is dirty. But then I'm like, well, it's better than the concrete at a truck stop. And, it's better than probably a gym where there's 50 guys sweating on the floor. So it's not that much different. Plus, you got the shower right afterwards. But I'm quite sure you get that a lot, don't you?
I do. Actually, there's a lot of comments on social media about the condition of my workout space and, that people would never. And honestly, when you're faced with a life or death situation in an industry that habitually reduces our quality of life, a little bit of dirt or a little bit of toenail clippings on a bathroom floor is not going to stop me from preserving my life after trucking. I want to be able to live my life on my terms when I get out of this truck. And my why is so much bigger than a 30-minute workout or a shower room condition. It is to have the strength and the stamina and the endurance and the tenacity to live life on my terms. And so when I'm faced with criticism about, oh my God, I could never. Well, when you're standing in front of a mirror and you're looking at your life and you literally see your future flash before your eyes, you choose different when the alternative is so bleak.
Yes. That's it's when I like to tell my clients to always find their deeper why. Once you find that deep why, those obstacles are like obsolete. So absolutely. So what are some of the obstacles that you have faced on this healthier journey that you've been on?
So we talked about a couple of the obstacles, and space and time are pretty much my two biggest ones. Depending on, when we have customers, there's sometimes that we can't stop for more than 45 minutes without calling in and alerting security and doing all these things. And so I just shift my focus. Okay, I can't work out this day, or maybe I can't work out for 2.5 days because that's how long it's going to take me to get to that shipper, and just being able to be flexible. But some of the other challenges, my own criticism, of what people are going to think or how people are going to respond to seeing me in a truck stop. Oh my gosh, the trucker's lounge, or seeing me at a rest area, picnic area, and just like that criticism in the very beginning before I started feeling better. It was like, oh, I don't want people to watch me. I don't want them to see me. And now I'm like, please watch me. Please know that this is possible for you too. Or come join me. Like I've had drivers in driver lounges join me on workouts because they're like, I could never. I'm like, actually, you can do it with me. And so that's been super fun. And then logistically, being, I never know. In fact, I video quite often. What's it going to look like today when I walk into a shower room? And then when they have limits on the amount of time that I can be in a shower room, I try to be really cognizant of how much time I'm taking in the shower room. But I will do a 30-minute workout and a 30-minute shower and take an entire hour in the shower room because I pay for them. And, but there's some areas of the country that when I have to wait, there was one time in California where we waited, there was 57 people in line for a shower.
Wow.
In Loma Lima. I think that's what it was called. So those are some of the obstacles. And then we haven't even talked about diet or nutrition, which didn't come for another 6 months. I got wicked consistent with my workouts before I ever even considered breaking the limiting beliefs about being able to eat healthy on the road. So that's where a lot of my roadblocks came from.
Yeah, but it's always good to work at little segments instead of trying to do everything at once, because then it gets overwhelming and you don't stick with it. So it's good that it worked out that way for you. Yeah.
And that's what I tell pretty much every single person that has joined me on my journey and starting their own journey, is that you have to take one step at a time. We're not looking for something instant. I didn't look like this overnight, and so I can't get to my goal overnight, but being able to consistently take little tiny pieces and turn that into a habit that I'm able to then stack onto a new habit. And once I'm like, all right, I got this taken care of, let's add a new piece to the puzzle.
So is there a specific strategy that helps you build your habits? Or did you experiment to figure it out? Or was it just the plug and play from the program? What helped you get that strategies? I mean, what strategies did that help you to get those habits?
Oh, that's been a work in progress, and it's still being progressed. I'm still working on it. My very favorite personal development book is called Atomic Habits by James Clear.
I love that book. Yes.
Yes. And so
explain a couple of this. Yeah, I was going to say, explain a couple of those concepts real quick, and then we'll do a quick break.
So taking one habit that you already have ingrained, and adding a new habit that you want to create, so that you create a cue in your mind that helps you remember to do it, but also creates a new routine. And so habit stacking, where it's like, I'm going to do this every day, and my new habit stack is, as soon as I then B, and then I get to C. And so, like, as soon as I get to a place, a fuel island, I am going to go onto the app, at the Pilot app, and reserve a shower. And then I'm going to, and so it was just being able to create those little tiny shifts where it's like, okay, well, I'm already going to the fuel island, so now I just need to add this new thing. And that really helped get me on track with creating those habits.
Yes, it's an awesome book. If y'all haven't read it, y'all really need to. If I remember correctly, you can get an audio version of it off of YouTube for free, so you don't even have to pay for it. You can listen to it while you drive. It is a great book. Yes, Cindy, great book. It is. It's one of the things that's really helped. Focusing on your why instead of the criticism. Yes, that is really, really good. Some great points that we've been getting here. Oh, look at that shower workout. Great idea, because someone else is watching is a big hindrance. That is so true. That's why when I first came across, I was like, oh my gosh, I've never even considered that. That's just, it's safe. You're private. You got your shower afterwards. I mean, it's phenomenal. That's why I love that superpower that you're like, my superpowers work in the bathroom. I loved it. I loved it. Yes. But thank everybody for watching. We're going to take a quick commercial break. If you have any questions or anything, go ahead and start throwing them in. We're going to touch a little bit on nutrition and everything when we come back, and then some tips and advice.
Join the She Trucking Foundation today and be a part of a supportive community of women in the trucking industry. Unlock exclusive access to valuable resources, including mentorship, educational workshops, and networking opportunities. Whether you're an experienced professional or just starting your trucking journey, She Trucking is here to empower you and help you thrive. Visit www.shetrucking.com to join us and drive your trucking career to new heights.
My name is Nate Johnson, and I'm the CEO and founder of GLCS. GLCS supports drivers by streamlining office processes, deploying and supporting company software, and connecting in-cab technologies to in-office technologies. I've spent nearly 30 years in transportation, starting my career as an over-the-road driver. Recently asked what was my favorite experiences as a driver. I recall waking up in the morning many times to a light fog, the sun rising, having a good cup of coffee, and rolling out of a truck stop, starting my day feeling rested and refreshed. Those experiences are something that I cherish and recall, and really only get to experience on long road trips now. Drivers, thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Drive safe, keep up the good work. We're all here to support you. Thank you to all the millions of drivers that safely keep America moving. Happy National Truck Driver Appreciation Week.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. How y'all doing? Throw some comments in if you have any questions or anything. So we left off with where you was, some strategies and things to help you get to the healthier side of things. And how long since you said it was August when you got serious?
Yep.
So August of last year? Or
That's correct.
okay. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear. This has been over a 12-month journey. So we're talking 14 months now?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said that you did workouts for about 6 months before you even consider adding the nutrition. How much of a change did you notice in just the 6 months before you even focused on what you was eating?
Oh, the transition for that first 6 months was really the motivation to be like, okay, it's time for me to level up because I'm loving what I'm seeing. So my body composition has started to shift. I have lost, now this is total, so from my heaviest to where I am now, I've lost 65 pounds since I started trucking, or since I started my journey. So in the photo in April, that was 6 weeks into my food journey, and then through July I need to do another one. I love every time I go to a truck stop and I see one of those full-length mirrors, I'm like, hey girl.
Now, I know when I first lost my 60 pounds and I walked by a mirror and I caught the reflection out of the corner of my eye, and I looked because I thought it was somebody else and I had to do a double take, and I'm like, oh wait, that's me. Did you ever do that mentally, that mind shift?
Yes. And I do it on a daily basis. And I actually, some of my transition, like the transformation photos, is my smile, my eyes. Like there's so much more to this journey than just pounds lost and inches lost. And I am still a big girl. I'm not at my goal weight. I am not a skinny mini. And I don't know that I ever will be, but my focus has been how much more life I can live within the life I have. And so that first 6 months, that transition, like I was literally bouncing out of the truck. I was waking up in the morning with energy. I was getting through the end of my night without having to feel like a zombie, using supplements through body to fuel my nutrition, to boost my energy with natural caffeine through green tea, having a focused brain blend every single morning, this power shot that I have that like helps me maintain the focus to do my job well every day. So all of those things kind of happened at that 6-month mark. And so the last 6 months, I've actually noticed a little bit of a plateau because my body was not used to moving at all. And now I'm moving it every day. And so it's like, oh, okay, we're used to this. This is great. But I've gone from 0 weights to 25-pound weights. So there's still a lot of progress. But with food, I'm eating really healthy, but I'm still not burning as many calories. So that's where my weight loss journey has stalled. I haven't lost, well, that's not true. I lost 6 pounds in the last 2 months. But I feel like that's a stall. However, what I'm gaining every single day from continuing to do those habits has been so much more than the weight loss because I don't have gut bloat anymore. I'm not running to the restroom because of intestinal issues. I'm not having headaches anymore because of the foods that I'm choosing to eat.
I was just fixing that. So what are some of the other non-scale victories that you have noticed in your journey? I think those are so underrated, and they should be at the number one top tier is the non-scale victory. So share some of your like profound non-scale victories that you have come across.
So my biggest accomplishment in this journey so far is that 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with prediabetes. And at my last physical, I dropped my A1C from a 6.8 to a 4.3 in 18 months.
Yay, that's phenomenal.
It's huge. But more than that, like being able to fall asleep on demand. I mean, seriously, that is.
It is. It's huge.
Massive.
Just losing that pre-diagnosis category when it is literally removed from your medical records, it's just like, especially because you lost a loved one at a young age due to complications of diabetes, just like I did. And that was when I got that pre-diabetes, it just crushed me because I immediately thought of my loved one. And I'm sure you did the same thing. And I tell people all the time, that's what scared me healthy. That was my initial why, because I did not want it. So losing that is fantastic.
Most
Congrats.
certainly. Thank you. And then the second profound change is how my body moves. So when I can sit in a driver's seat for 7 hours and then I stand up and my body doesn't hurt, that to me, like I'm not suffering because of my career. And being able to I do some jumping jacks, and instead of like resorting to a 5-hour energy because I'm exhausted or tired at the end, like in the wee hours of the morning at the end of my driving shift, I do 10 jumping jacks and 15 squats, and I'm ready and fully awake and ready to finish the rest of my shift. And then I think the other profound non-scale victory has been how I see life and being able to rise to the challenge of whatever's in front of me, then succumbing to the circumstances that are in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you know that mind shift is really a lot to do And the reason why exercise is so important, and I hate the word exercise, I have a negative association with that word. So I use purposeful movement. It's a play on words, but you know what? It works for me, so it doesn't matter. But when we sleep, our body naturally produces a chemical that's kind of like a pain medicine, kind of like a natural narcotic. And when we don't exercise, we don't get that medicine out, that natural hormonal medicine out. So it builds up. And when it builds up, that's what causes the exhaustion, the fatigue. It causes I mean, it's not like the main cause, but it is a huge cause in the depression and the brain fog, because all those, it gets built up. So when we start working out and doing purposeful movement, whether it's a strenuous exercise or just moving your body, you're depleting those natural chemicals. So therefore, those good chemicals can start taking over. And that's the reason why working out is so important. It's not the calories in, calories out concept. It's more of getting the body moving and getting those chemicals down. But let's go into the nutrition, because I think we're almost halfway done with our show already. It's just flown by. Hey, does anybody have any comments or questions?
I see
Especially
that
getting
Cindy asked
into
about intermittent fasting.
yes.
And yes, I actually have a 16 and 8 schedule. So I only eat for 8 hours during the day, and I fast for 16 hours every day.
Do you prefer to fast from when you wake up until like your mid shift, or do you prefer to fast at the end of your shift? Because a lot of people think intermittent fasting, you have to only eat lunch and dinner, but you can set your schedule any way you want to, especially, and that's what's so great with driving. But that depletes those sugar levels that's stored up in your body too. But which way do you prefer to do it?
So the last thing that I eat at night is my Shakeology, and I make that at the beginning of my shift, and then I drink it in a shake form at 8 p.m. home time. So I always go on Pacific Standard Time. So 8 p.m. home time is the last thing I put in my mouth, and that is my Shakeology Superfoods. That is, it bridges the gaps. It has 60 different really amazing quality ingredients that bridge nutrition gaps in my day. And I don't eat again until noon the next day. So it's kind of both. I am a habitual snacker. And when I drive, I'm either biting my fingernails or snacking. And I'm trying really hard not to bite my fingernails, but I also don't do any snacking after 8 p.m. I have gum if I need to chew on something. But not having anything to eat after 8 p.m. has really helped curb that late night snacking, mindless eating, and any kind of before I started thinking about food, I would grab a bag of chips, for example, and look down and be like, where'd the rest of my chips go? I did not just eat the whole bag, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was mindless. So I don't put anything in my mouth after 8 p.m. I go to bed between midnight and 2 a.m., depending on my schedule, my shift. And then I do not eat first thing in the morning because I don't like to eat first thing in the morning. But breakfast is always a meal that's on the schedule, no matter what time of day or night I eat. I'm definitely a breakfast girl.
Oh yeah, I take breakfast in the literal sense. It breaks your fast. It doesn't matter what time. So
Absolutely.
what's this you're sitting right here? That looks delicious.
Oh, that was, I did. So when I go home, I'm on the road for 30 days. And when I go home, I prep and plan 30 days worth of meals, 142 servings that I put in individual bags. This is not the season for me to focus on reusable. I have to throw that out of my mind. I'm definitely in a season of single use. That was actually some honey Dijon chicken breast. Oh my gosh, it's so delicious. So I have my Galan's 3-in-1 convection oven, microwave, air fryer combo that I use every single day. And I also have a Dyson hot pot that I use for cooking eggs and sauteing veggies every day. And then I also use Shipt, which is a kind of like Instacart, but they actually deliver right to my semi truck at the truck stops to do fresh fruits and veggies every week.
Now, do you have a add-on freezer, or do you just use the little dorm style refrigerator combo thing?
I do have a travel freezer now. That actually, getting this travel freezer is really what opened my mind to the possibilities of what I could make at home and freeze beforehand and really prepare myself for the month ahead. So I do, and right now I keep it in between my seats, and I have to climb over it every day. We are in the middle of revamping our storage system. You know, with having 2 people in the truck, it can get a little crowded, but gratefully we work around all of the inconveniences to make sure that I have the food that I need in order to eat well on the road.
Feast, Fast, Repeat by Jean. Yes, that is a wonderful book. Have you read that yet?
I haven't. I've never heard of it, but I'll add it to my list.
Yes, it's a really good. It goes into the science of intermittent fasting and how it works and why it works, and it goes into all the different ways you can do it, from 1 meal a day to just the 2 meals a day or however, and it's really, really good. She also has another one. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but yeah, her books are really good too. I like going into the science of it. So it just, because once I understand the why, it's easier for me to stick to it.
Absolutely. I find the same truth. Yes.
Yes. So the freezer, that was my first purchase when I started my healthier journey. And now I have 2 freezers in my truck, and because I usually stay out for 5 to 6 weeks. So, and there's been a few times I've stayed out 12 weeks, and I have literally frozen 12 weeks worth of meals and put it in the truck. But once in a while, I like once, twice, sometimes 3 times a month, depending on just how I feel, I'll actually go out to eat. I don't just stick into my truck. It's just making choices. What have you found on that?
Oh my gosh. So eating out is my very favorite thing to do. I love other people cooking for me. It is my, the best way for me to explore a new city is to eat their food. So I absolutely have chosen the most decadent and incredible places across the whole country, from Baltimore to Seattle to Los Angeles and San Diego. Reno has my favorite steakhouse in the whole country. Because when we learn how to eat intuitively, which is what the program that I use is called To Be Mindset, and it really goes into the psychology behind food and our relationship and repairing the relationship with our food and how we think about nourishing our bodies. And so I do not restrict myself. If I want mozzarella sticks from Arby's, because they're my favorite, I'm going to have some, because living a healthier life doesn't mean living in deprivation. It doesn't mean starving. It doesn't mean only eating kale and spinach. It means listening to your body, giving it what it needs 80% of the time, and allowing yourself to have the things that serve you. So one of the things in this journey that I learned pretty quickly once I started taking my health seriously in my gut was I did gut protocol, and that's another program that Body has, and it eliminates some foods to identify sensitivities. And I have known for a lot of years that I am gluten intolerant, and I refuse to acknowledge it because I love bread. But how my body feels when I consume gluten is gross. It is so lethargic. It feels fuzzy. I have brain fog my gut hurts, I have bloating issues, all of these different things. So I eliminated them for 30 days and I'm like, holy crap, what knowledge is only powerful if you implement it. So being able to remove dairy, gluten, and soy from my diet, all of a sudden I'm like, I feel like a whole brand new human.
Oh, I can imagine if you had that sensitivity, how bad you felt.
And being
That's
in the
no
truck
joke.
made it even worse.
Oh, yeah. Well, and plus, when you're in that mindset, oh, all I have time for is a fast food. But if you really think about it, by the time you stop, you park, you walk inside, you stand in line, you order your food, you wait for your food, then you get your food, you can already fix something in the truck and save half the money.
Oh, so much more money. I have saved so much money because now, like, for example, Subway is still something that I like to have every now and then, but I don't eat it every day. But the Subway sandwich that I get is $15 for one sandwich. I'm like, I can
It's not
prepare
that much.
4 meals. Yeah, $14.49 for the sandwich, and then anywhere between 40 and 80 cents for taxes, which is just insane to me. That or even like a pizza from the oh my gosh, from the Pilot is $15 or more. And so I can make an entire sheet pan that's going to feed me 6 different meals. It's fresh ingredients, it's ready to go, and I never have to leave my truck, and it saves me time, money, effort, energy, and the bloat. So I had a question for you.
Yeah.
When you're prepping your meals, do you cook all of them or do you prepare some of them individually, like frozen raw, and then you cook them in your truck?
I do both.
Yeah. Okay. So do I.
Yeah, I do both. So my absolute favorite one is, and hey, if anybody wants to join in the chat, because I'm always up to new recipes. But my favorite one I like to do is I will crack 4 eggs in a Ziploc bag and then throw a little bit of cheese, ham, and bacon, and then I'll freeze it. And then I cook it in I don't know if you ever heard of a Hot Logic Mini, but I can just put it in the Hot Logic Mini, dry for 2.5 hours, and I have a fresh hot omelet.
Oh, that's
Phenomenal.
awesome.
A lot of people don't know you can freeze eggs for up to 6 months raw.
Yeah. I love freezing eggs if I'm going to use them in omelets, but I'm spoiled and I actually really, 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 really love over easy eggs. And so I've perfected, while Seth is driving, I have perfected frying eggs over easy in ghee. And it's the best.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Eggs are definitely a daily staple.
It sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that most of your meals you have learned to have what you want, but add in what you need. Is that correct? Because that's my favorite philosophy. It has been a huge shifter for me. Last episode that I hosted last month, I was telling everybody, it's like, at the end of the day, you're tired. You want a bowl of cereal and just go to bed. And there's nothing wrong with that. But just add in a little bit of protein and add a little bit of fiber with that bowl of cereal and you'll be good to go. So it's just
and the other really important thing, absolutely, what I have found is decision fatigue is a real thing. And so when I pre-plan my meals and I know exactly what I'm eating at the end of the day, I always do my most effort in the morning and my least effort at the end of my night. And so I start my morning with sauteed veggies and fried potatoes and ghee and sugar-free, nitrite-free, organic bacon and eggs. And I have this amazing, incredible bowl of deliciousness at the beginning of the day. And then at the end of the day, I have a Shakeology, because as we go through our day, our ability to make good choices becomes more and more limited. And so having a plan, having my frozen foods so close and at the ready really gives me the best chance at success on a daily basis, especially when I'm tired, which is why I just chose, that was my number one reason, was because when I started identifying what I was eating and paying attention to that, no good decisions are made after 8 p.m. in my mouth. So I just make sure that I don't eat anything at all because I was not making good choices. And that absolutely had to do with decision fatigue.
Yeah, I started, one of my first one was, okay, I love to munch while I drive. Well, because I make my own rules and I experimented. Okay, this rule worked, this rule didn't work. But my first rule was I can only eat raw food while I'm driving. That was my first rule. And that made a huge difference. But then I went to, I don't eat while I'm driving, only eat when I'm stopped. That way I can go through the whole holistic, how my digestive system go and all that stuff. That's a whole nother story. But so with your nutrition and with your purposeful movements, what would be your top three tips to give somebody who is interested in wanting to get healthier, because it's all about the herb?
Yeah, I think, and we've talked about them. So number one is start small. There is no such thing as a grand gesture in this journey of healthier living that's going to get you where you want to go, because you get overwhelmed or it gets hard. And so if you start small and work your way up as you get better and as you get into the routine, that is my number one method of creating the success that I've created, is gradually over the last 14 months. Number two, and I think number two would be to find creative solutions to problems. Truck drivers don't have the same access that the general public does. And so solving problems to truck driver issues with mainstream solutions doesn't work. And so whether you find Melinda or myself or anyone that you want to align with getting healthier, finding someone who has the option to create solutions that are as unique as the circumstances that you are dealing with. It's kind of like I said, for a long time, I was trying to, plug a square into a round hole, and it never fit. It didn't work. And so finding something that allowed for flexibility and creative solutions was really powerful. And I think number three would be finding something that you love, that you can find consistency in. Even if you don't love working out, there is some kind of movement that you're going to feel more aligned with. And Melinda, you love to go hiking, and being out in nature is something that fuels your soul. And so it's easy for you to go out, and even when it's cold, or even when the weather or the conditions aren't ideal, to enjoy going on a hike. And for me, I enjoy weightlifting. I enjoy resistance training. I enjoy the mindset work that goes into every workout. And so no effort toward living a healthier lifestyle is a bad effort. But sticking with something that either doesn't feel great in your system, doesn't work for your circumstance, or something that you're not actually going to do, you can have the best laid intentions, but unless you're willing to do the work, it doesn't work.
That's so true. So true. So if anybody wants to work with you, or if they have more questions and want to get more in touch, how would be the best way for them to reach out to you?
Instagram is where I live. I love hanging out in my stories on Instagram. And I have a link in my bio on Instagram at EverBeRising that you can fill out if you want a direct consultation, but also just sending a DM to me is a really great way to start a conversation. And I would encourage everyone to go and take a look at all of my silly content, because there's a lot of out of the box thinking that goes into how I live a healthier lifestyle on the road.
And I think that's the number one rule everybody needs to learn to adapt. Is just, what can I do out of the box? Because obviously with this lifestyle, we can't be in the box.
That's right.
Thanks, y'all, everybody, for coming. It was a pleasure, and I can't wait to see y'all next month. Bye.
Thank you.
On 5.
Be strong.
Join the She Trucking Foundation today and be a part of a supportive community of women in the trucking industry. Unlock exclusive access to valuable resources, including mentorship, educational workshops, and networking opportunities. Whether you're an experienced professional or just starting your trucking journey, She Trucking is here to empower you and help you thrive. Visit www.shetrucking.com to join us and drive your trucking career to new heights. Hello, everybody. I am Dr. T&J Ramsey, the host of the She Trucking podcast powered by CTR Media Network. And today we have an amazing featured guest, and her name is Brooke O'Grady. She actually has a Bachelor of Science in Education from the University of Kansas and a Master's of Arts in the Organizational Leadership from Baker's University. She's also the COO of TAFS. Yes, TAFS Factoring. So we're going to get into some great conversation in regards to factoring. What is it? How can women find themselves, or do you see yourself in this lane of expertise, and so much more. So without further ado, let's bring on Brooke O'Grady. And guess what? They happen to be our platinum sponsor for the She Trucking podcast. So let's go ahead and bring her on right now. So hello, Brooke. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am amazing. And I'm so excited every time I see another woman doing something in an arena that they didn't put it in the cards for us to be doing,
Right.
But we're doing it anyway, and also shedding light to give inspiration, not only within the trucking industry, but especially within our community of 30,000 women, so they can see representation and also widen their horizon. So with that being said, you are the COO of TAFS, and thank you so much for becoming our platinum sponsor for the She Trucking podcast. We thoroughly appreciate it. And so we're so happy to just be sharing our partnership with all of you.
Yeah. I mean, I first met Sheree in Tampa in October. And I mean, it was the Broker Carrier Summit, and she just came into the room and had such positive energy to her. People are definitely drawn to her. She's so easy to talk to. She's so cute and personable. And we're like, okay, we got to figure out a way to connect here, because you can tell she's just a genuine person. And we're like, okay, how can we kind of team up together?
I love it. I love it because when you see other women in this male dominated part of the industry and you're equally doing great in your field. And Sheree, she is a trailblazer in regards to this and was able to forge and bring all of us together up under one little hub. And so now seeing you, many of our viewers, because we have so many new women that are venturing into this trucking and transportation arena, or the industry, I should say. So with that being said, they may be wondering, what is TAF? What is a factoring company? So could you explain that a little bit for our audience so they can understand what a factoring company is?
Yeah. I mean, I think even in my interview here, they were like, do you know what factoring is? And I was like, yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I was like, I don't know, do they work in a factory? I just had no knowledge of it. I was actually a former middle school teacher. And so I was living out in Arizona when I got the job offer to move back to Kansas City to be with TAFs. And I knew, I had like asked my dad, he's like, yeah, it has to do with like buying receivables. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I'm a teacher. I don't know what buying, receivables means. I've learned a lot now that I've been here 8 years. But basically what we do is we do financing and a lot of the back office work for small to medium to even some of the larger trucking companies out there. And that's really to help support the trucking companies because there are long pay terms in the industry. So if you haul a load for a broker, you may not get paid for 30, 40, 60 days. It really depends on their pay terms. And it makes it really difficult for trucking companies, especially newer ones, to survive with limited cash flow. A lot of times they have truck payment, they have insurance, they have fuel, they have to send money back home. And so when it's taking 45 days to get paid, it just puts a financial burden on trucking companies. And so what we do is our clients, they submit the invoice to us as soon as they deliver a load. And then we pay them upfront, majority of the money, anywhere from 97 to 98% we pay up front. And on the back end, TAFs is going to do a lot of the back office work. So we're going to do the billing to your broker. We're going to do the collections. And so just making sure that the owners or the drivers, whatever it may be, they can really focus on driving and staying on the road, booking loads. And that way we can just be a partnership and help them survive.
Wow. So basically you become that small to medium, or even in some cases, like you said, large companies, team.
Right.
In other words, you become their team because in essence, the fact that you all can do 97 to 98% with the bills that come in, that actually can greatly make the difference between a company staying afloat or going under, because we're talking 30 to 45 days. And when we look at America in just regular terms, just from a standard job, usually you're one paycheck away from homelessness, or you one paycheck away from a situation that you don't want to be in. And so that can also be the factor into trucking companies, because we know things are more expensive. So the fact that you come in as that, I would say, anchor to be able to get necessary assistance. And also when you mentioned about the billing and collections and the invoices, I mean, let's keep it real. When you have a trucking company, you're thinking about keeping your truckers trucking, making sure they get the loads, making sure they get the right pricing. You're not really thinking about no administrative, secretarial, paper moving work. So the fact that you guys are here to make that easier and keep you on point. So with that being said, if you are a company right now and you need help with that, they just contact you and they be able to get signed on. How does that work? if they
Yeah.
need it?
So currently, if you're looking for a factoring company, you can go to our website, tafts.com, and there's like a web form you can fill out to get signed up, and you'll get a call from us immediately. That's probably where, if anyone's just kind of searching, that's where our leads come in through. Our sales team, they're calling brand new MCs as well to try to say, hey, like, you probably need a factoring company, especially if you're new to the game, because what we've learned is a lot of it is to just some consulting. You may have a newer trucking company, but some of these men and women, they've driven for somebody else. So they're not necessarily new to driving the truck, but they are newer sometimes to owning a business, which is totally different. There's a lot more at risk. And so a lot of it is, us helping them like, hey, this is some of the stuff you're going to be seeing, or when situations come up, how do they handle it? Right now, we get a lot of carriers calling in saying, hey, I just found out I took a double brokered load. I got scammed online. How do I, I hauled the load. How do I get paid? And so a lot of it is just us really consulting them. I mean, from a business standpoint, sure, we want to keep our clients forever. I want you factoring your invoices forever. But I think from like a moral standpoint, it is kind of bittersweet and a little bit heartwarming to see our clients at some point be like, hey, I've been with you guys 4 or 5 years. I think I'm ready and I don't need factoring anymore. The personal side of me loves that. Obviously, I wish I could keep clients forever, but it is, the goal is to one day, let them not need a factoring company and they know what they're doing. And they're like, hey, I've got this thanks to your support over the years.
Yes, ultimately. So it sounds like it's a little bit administrative, it's a little bit of consulting, and then it's a little bit of giving them that needed support that they need. Because like you said, you have some people that may not necessarily be new to trucking, but they're new to trucking business. And that is 2 different arenas to be in, from independently or maybe driving for another company driving, versus now you have a responsibility not only yourself but everyone else that's in your business. So I feel that is not only a good thing to have a factoring company, but it's necessary, especially with all the different rules and the different changes and the different things that you have to keep eyes and ears on in order to be able to stay trucking in this new season. I would say this new season of trucking. And so it's very, very good that that you guys are providing. Not just I hear from you that, which I feel that is very important and powerful. And you don't hear this too much from COOs. You really care. At the end of the day, you really care. So you have that moral compass, which is very, very important, because our truckers want to be knowing that they can trust the company that they're with, but also having that part where, okay, yes, we're here for support, but this is how it goes. This is how you have to stay within the requirements. We have to get XYZ done so that they can remain in the trucking industry. So I know that you say you do small to medium-sized businesses, and I know specifically right now we're talking about trucking, but when you get into the different fees and different stuff, do they have to worry about additional fees when they start with your company?
So it kind of just depends on sometimes too what type of freight. I know for box trucks, there might be a different fee than if you're doing just the reefer or flatbed. And that's a lot of like sales. I know that, when what we're, I think, really great about is keeping our fees transparent. So every time you submit an invoice to TAFS, you're going to get a batch. We call it a batch summary. It's basically like a receipt. It's going to tell you what you submitted to us, what the invoice amount was, and what the factoring fee was, and any other fees that could be associated. And then it's going to tell you where your money went. So if it went to, via ACH to Chase Bank, And so you're going to get that breakdown of every single load every time that we process your invoices. And then we also give you access to all your reporting. And I know that definitely comes in handy when they go to do their taxes at the end of the year, or just, for business reasons to see what they've spent on, X, Y, and Z. I know some of them have used it even for some truck financing to show like, hey, because they don't get a normal paycheck. And so they can show, hey, this was what our income was for January, February, March of last year. So if the bank needs it, so it does provide like additional reporting for our clients so that they can use whatever they need. But we do give a full transparent breakdown. We're really competitive with our prices. I mean, we have great competitors out there. And so we try to stay in line with them as well. So it's probably going to be pretty similar to what's out there in the industry.
Well, that's good to know that you guys have that transparency in regards to your pricing and everything. And it can be subjective, like you said, based upon what type of truck or what type of industry within the industry there.
Or how many trucks, right? Like, so if you have one truck or somebody approaches us with 10 trucks, we could say, okay, well, maybe the 10 trucks also wants a fuel deal. So there's a lot that kind of goes into the pricing as well. But I would say majority of our clients have less than 5 trucks. So we really do try to cater to the smaller ones.
Okay, well, that's still for a person who don't know quite what they're doing. You need help with 5 trucks, okay? Because
I think that's a lot. I'm like,
that's a lot to me.
To handle 5 trucks, I'm like, it's nonstop. I mean, yeah, I think it's a lot. So I don't mean to downplay 5 trucks at all, because it's a lot. Even people going from 1 to 2 trucks within their first year is a huge accomplishment. I mean, it's hard to keep up in general with 1 truck, and then you talk about adding another one. So that it's impressive.
I would say that too, because I hear everything dealing with the 1 truck, and then the ones who had 2, we like, oh,
I know.
That's a lot.
It's probably kind of like adding kids, right? Like 1, you have some chaos, and then you add 2, it's like, okay, now it's even more chaos. Then you add 3, you're like, wow, I'm way outnumbered, a lot of chaos. So it's probably, similar.
I would say so. And for every person, their capacity to be able to handle what they're handling is a little bit different for each person. But to me, 5 is a lot. So anything past that, however, everybody's capacity is a little bit different. So I love the fact that you guys have that good transparency. You have that good moral compass. You all also, I would say lay a good foundation so that if they need to get other financial help because of bookkeeping and all this, you guys kind of keep a record of transparency, letting them see everything and be able to have these documents that can go and apply for various different things, because you guys are so great with keeping up with the paperwork. And in the trucking industry with our truckers, one of the hardest things is keeping that paperwork. Because like I said, on most truckers' mind, they're not thinking about the paperwork like that unless you got to send this paperwork in order for you to get paid for your haul. Yeah, you're gonna think about it then, but other than that, your main concern is getting from point A to point B quicker and faster, right?
Yeah.
And so the fact that you guys are helping them on, which I think it should be necessary for everyone, for the fact that they don't have time to do all this kind of paperwork. It's a lot. It's a lot when you think about it. And so speaking about paperwork, we know that sometimes with factoring companies, they can do recourse and non-recourse on factoring. So do y'all have like a certain requirement where you determine whether they fall into that, and do y'all handle that?
Yeah, so currently we are a full recourse program. And so we will, call and email all the brokers all day long to try to get that pay status. I'm sure they just love it. But we gotta provide that service and try to fight for our clients. If TAFs strongly feels that the invoice is not going to get paid, we will recourse that. What I've really seen over the past year is more of the bankruptcies from some of the larger brokers, Yellow, Surge, Convoy, Meadowlark. I mean, the list goes on and on, which was a hectic year. I've never seen anything like that. And then I see it more in claims, brokers not wanting to pay because there's a claim, or they're holding everything in payables right now because there's a claim. That's majority of what I see. In those instances, especially for the bankruptcy, we did offer loans to all of our clients who needed them. And we do that just in general to our clientele. We offer business loans. So if they need help with fuel, payroll, anything that has to do with operating expenses, if they meet, the criteria, we do offer business loans. And we have some clients that get a new loan every 8 weeks. They pay it off, they get a new one, pay it off, get a new one. So for the bankruptcies, in that case, we did offer loans, even if they didn't meet, the normal matrix or criteria, because we said, well, this isn't their fault. We don't want them going out of business. We need them too. I mean, TAFS isn't going to survive without its customers. And so in order to assist, so that way, they weren't super negative with TAFs and they could continue submitting, and we would just take a little bit per invoice to go towards that balance owed for the brokers. But so we do really try to assist, because it does us no good if our client goes out of business.
Yes, I agree. We have a comment from good old LinkedIn. It said Brooke is an amazing representation of our TAFs team members. That's Jeremy. And we also had a person. Yeah, so thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. So it's good to know that you guys take it over and beyond. It's not just about, it is about the numbers, but it's not all about the numbers. You understand like how the circle goes, like the circle of life, so to speak, within the industry. And in order for this to happen, it's a cause and effect of a chain of events that happens. And so the fact that in certain cases that you're a full recourse, meaning you'll do those calls if need be, if you see they go into bankruptcy or in a unfavorable, I would say, dealing with fund situation, you guys have something like a little safety net for ones who qualify, that they could be able to apply for a loan to be able to get them over that bad hump, because sometimes it's just a bad quarter. Okay. Yep. And they just need that push, they need that help so that they can get through that quarter.
Yeah. So, well, and sometimes with claims too, like the broker might say, okay, well, it's a 3-month ongoing claim. And it puts the carrier, the trucking company, in a really bad position sometimes. And so we try to help as much as we can, because if we can keep them afloat until the claim gets cleared up, because they're not quick on claims sometimes, insurance, everything that goes into it. So we really try to work together with our client to say, hey, I know they're taking a long time, the broker is, but we're going to help you out.
Well, I want to personally thank you for something that you guys did for one of our members in our community. Okay, there are some companies that say a lot of things, but they may not necessarily have the receipts on what they're doing. But I'm here to tell you that everything Brooke is saying is absolutely true. TAF is that stand by you type of factoring company. Matter of fact, now she might not say this, but I like to brag on our sponsors, because we do our little research, honey. They were awarded the best trucking factoring company in 2022, and they did not receive that. It was on this list, and out of all these factoring companies, they were listed as the best for trucking. So I mean, that should tell you what kind of caliber TAFs has. Also, I would like to thank you for helping one of our members in the She Trucking community who experienced the terrible thing of double brokering. And we know what happens with double brokering. And it's happening more and more, it's happening more often. So the fact that even before this partnership was solidified, you guys stepped in and you helped her with that double brokering. So I would like to just thank you publicly for taking the time, even before we had solidified all of this partnership with you guys supporting us. You went in to help. So thank you so much, because listen, we don't even, double broke. Ooh, that's a whole topic all by itself.
And it's crazy because since I've been at Taft's, double brokering has always somewhat existed.
Mhm.
You just didn't really hear much about it. It was kind of rare. And then in the past 18 months, it has just exploded. And I just feel so, I mean, there's nothing worse than when you're on the phone with a client and they're literally in tears for doing work and they're not going to get paid for it. I mean, it's, and they've wasted how much time and money. And it's really, really sad how many people are getting taken advantage of because scammers out there or people doing unethical things. And it is so frustrating. And I get so frustrated because I deal with some of the double brokers and it's like nothing happens to them. I'm like, can't you like get in trouble? But it's like, it just seems like it's nobody really is looking or nothing ever happens. And it's like, it's really sad. It would be scary to be a carrier right now and you're booking loads and then all of a sudden figuring out you got scammed or like, is this real? Is this fake? I mean, and maybe I'm a bit biased because I see some of the worst case scenarios. But I just really feel for the carriers.
No, you're right. And the fact that you listened, and then not only did you listen, but you took action and did something about it, because it's happening. Like you said, it's happening more frequently now than ever. I mean, we're hearing more about it with people talking about it online, people talking about it all over the place where you may not have heard about it as much on social media and all the places before. But now more people are coming forward talking about it. But the fact that when it happened within our community, you guys listened, you heard about it, you took action, and you helped them. Like you said, the time it takes to do the jobs that the truckers do, and then to find out that it's been double broker and you may not get paid or don't get paid. I mean, that is,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it just hit you right here. And so the fact that you guys heard it, took action, and you made something happen. So we're just, we can't even express how, because we hear so many of the sad stories of the cases or the people who never received the help. They just become another statistic in this endless cycle of double brokering. So the fact that you guys did that, I want to just say that this is different. So if you guys looking for a factoring company that really, stand by what they say, they're not only just a company, they have what I call those morals, ethics, standards. And that is what you should look for when you are building your brand as a trucking company, when you're building your business. You want people that you bring into your business to do any type of help to have the same moral compass, right? They just want to, at the end of the day, do what's right. And so we love that Tavs have so many women, so many women in Tavs. So that beautiful photo that you guys had actually sent wearing the She Trucking shirts. Yes, there it is. I mean, the fact that all of the women. So we're gonna change the conversation a little bit in regards to when we think about trucking. Usually it's kind of linear in the fact that we just think about we're in a male dominated industry. If you're in the trucking or transportation industry, you have to drive a truck, you have to drive a box truck, you have to do, a truck. You're not thinking about other layers of the transportation industry. And Tavs just happen to be one of those layers in the trucking and transportation industry. So what are some things that you have noticed, that you have seen in regards to I wouldn't necessarily say the pivot, but the change in regards to how many women you see. And TAF is so different because it's so many women. So let's talk about how women can find themselves or build a career in logistics.
Yeah. So TAFs, I mean, at one point, I think it was like 70% of us were women. Yeah, it was like super high. I'm not sure what it is now, but we still have a lot of women. And I've really noticed that with a lot of the trucking companies, we are definitely seeing more like women owners, which is just awesome in the last 2 years, really since 2021. But we really see a lot of the women doing the back office work. So the owner, maybe the driver, and he's driving and hauling loads, but really the women are kind of doing that back office, all the behind the scene work that makes it all go around. And we definitely need that, right? We need both. I tend to see more of like the sales being more men dominated in the factoring industry, but definitely the women when it comes to operations, accounting. Some are definitely in sales as well. But I'm like, there's actually a lot more women in logistics, I think, than what people realize. I even look at like Trans Am, they're a sister company of ours. There's a lot of women in the office. And so it's really neat to see. And like, I'm not on TikTok, but I'm on Instagram. And the other day I was looking at like just reels, and obviously like my phone's listening to me or whatever, because it's now showing me like videos of like women out there securing their trucks, like out in the industry, and just like women in trucking. And I'm like, what? I'm like, this is so cool that there are pages like this and that more women are getting like exposure of what it's like in the industry, and some of these girls, they are tiny. They're like, Sheree's tiny, right? She's like teeny tiny. Yeah. And I'm like, these girls driving these huge trucks. I mean, it's really badass. It's so cool.
I know. And the fact that March is International Women's Month, and we're going to be at MATS, the Mid-American Truck Show, which is the largest trucking event people come from all over to go to MATS every single year. And the fact that you guys going to be there too.
Yeah.
And so She Trucking as well as TAFs is going to be in the building. So we encourage all of you who have not registered yet to go ahead and register and get your ticket from for the Mid-American Truck Show. It's going to be March 21st through the 23rd, if I have my dates correct. So make sure to I was right. And go ahead and register today. We're going to be at booth 40652. That is booth 40652. And we will love to be able to see you. We are going to be podcasting. We're going to be meeting and greeting all of you. And also we're going to be telling you and connecting you with wonderful company such as TAF, because they are our platinum sponsors for the She Trucking podcast. But like you said before, when I think of trucking, what booth, before we go there, what booth number do you remember? I
can ask and see what they're for MATS.
Yeah, because we know we there, but we don't always remember the booth number. So many different numbers we have to remember. But anyway,
with our marketing guy.
Well, at some point when you get that, just let us know, and I'll make sure to say yours as well as we'll say ours again, because we want them to visit both of us at the Mid-American Truck Show. Just thinking about women in general, with March being the International Women's Month. And you just spreading this great fun fact, this FYI for our information or for your information. I had no earthly idea or never even really thought about it to that extent, thinking about, your booth 67124.
Wow, way to go, Yessie. She knew it.
Thank you, Yessie. And so to think about women in a male-dominated industry, but yet dominating in this area. I mean, we don't even thinking about women dominating in any area of trucking. But looking at TAF, that's a lot. 70% women. I mean, that's a lot. Yay, women, we do it.
I know. And really, like, it's, you know, something that's important to us, and probably just in transportation and with a lot of companies, you know, we're not looking so much at your background. We're looking at, hey, do you do things with integrity? Are you a hard worker? And are you open to learning? Because most people, when they enter transportation, or especially the factoring side, they've never been in factoring, and that's okay. You know, we say we just want hardworking people who have, you know, good ethics, and they're willing to learn. I mean, like I said, I was a middle school teacher before this. I had no idea what factoring was, but and you know, I'm never the smartest one in the room, but I'm like, hey, I try to, you know, make decisions that are best for the company, and I just try to get better, and I try to learn. And so that's really what we look for here. You don't have to have some long resume or a certain amount of education. You know, I went to college because I love learning, and, you know, as a teacher, but then some of our people here that are super successful have very diverse backgrounds. And so we really, you know, we embrace that everyone's from a different background. And we think it contributes to our synergy and our culture. And it helps with our clientele too, right? To have diverse people. And so, you know, I think a lot just in transportation or any job in general is really just making sure it's just working hard. I mean, you don't have to always be the smartest or the best or the most talented. It's, you know, hardworking people with good ethics, I think, is kind of hard to find nowadays, unfortunately.
I concur.
Yeah.
Yeah, I concur on that. And so when I hear any company speak on the morals, ethics, and standards, which is what I stand on as a person, and then I carry that on into business, that is what appeals to me. And then when I saw all the things that you guys do in regards to your work, your staff, all the way down to the carriers that you're working with, because at the end of the day, people want to be treated like a human with respect at the end of the day. Even if you don't have all the answers right then, they just want to know that you heard them, and you're going to figure it out, or you're going to find someone that their feelings are valid. Because most of the time when you're speaking with someone, maybe sometime during factoring, especially if they're getting with a broker thing, double brokering, emotions are running high.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you can like feel what they're going through, be empathetic. And then you look and find a solution to the problem, and kind of like gently guide them to, it's ultimately up to them what they're going to do, but you can guide them towards the best decision. But let them make the choice, but at least to know that they have options. So Brooke, what we're going to do right now, I want to talk more about TAF and all the different things that you guys do, as well as how women are making exceptional waves in this area of transportation. So if you've been one of those women sitting there saying, listen, I cannot drive no 18-wheeler, and there is no way, I want to be a part, but I can't do that. There's so many other layers that you can do. But before we do that, we're going to go and take a commercial break, and then we'll be back in a moment with the amazing Brooke from TAF. We'll be back in a moment. And just like that, we are back. We're back with Brooke, and she is TAV's COO, and she has been explaining to us different things in regards to what factoring is. She also been breaking down how they actually can help small to medium and even some large trucking companies be able to stay afloat, and all the different resources that they have available, just in case you find yourself in a little pinch, which all of us do. They have resources if you fit the requirement. They can be able to do loans, they'll be able to educate, all these different things. And she, before we went to the commercial break, she also shared with us how women, yes, women, being a former educator in the public school system, just as I was a special needs education teacher before all of this.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so hearing our similarities, because I would have never thought that this would be something that I'll be doing. And I'm sure, like, you didn't grow up saying I want to be a factorer when I grow up. That's not on. Yeah, I was like, okay, was that one of the career choices that they give you as a little child? No,
I don't remember that. No,
it wasn't. So the fact that you found yourself in this industry and seeing, because we know we hear so often it's male dominated, and we know that's true to a certain extent, but learning from you today how with TAVs, how it's 70% women at minimum, and how you guys are making waves and different things that women can be very beneficial and needed and necessary when you're dealing with accounting, dealing with the day-to-day operations of a business, and how women can start exploring this type of industry. I never even thought about factoring. I mean, literally, I never even thought about women in factoring. Well, I like the way that sounds, women in factoring. But anyway,
yeah,
that sounds pretty good.
we should start something. Okay.
Start a little movement here. So in regards to TAF, because I know you guys are big on helping, do y'all have any sort of education that you guys provide for your carriers in the form of maybe a newsletter, a blog, or someplace where they can go to get additional information in regards to factoring and trucking and what's going on in this industry?
We were just talking about that the other day, of possibly putting something together like that. Right now, what we do, as situations kind of come up in the industry, we will email out kind of like our advice. So like the scamming lately, right? So they're booking online, they think it's a certain broker and it ends up not being that broker. Okay, what do you do? And so, or, with a lot of the bankruptcies, we sent out kind of a longer email that said, diversifying your customer base will definitely help, because those who did all of their loads, let's say with Yellow, it severely hurt them when they went bankrupt. And so we try to give out advice here and there as we see situations come up, or that we see, hey, a lot of carriers lately have been saying this. But we were just talking the other day, we're like, maybe we should do some sort of, especially in the beginning when a carrier's with us, some sort of like educational tool, because that seems to be when they need it the most. Some of the companies that have been around 8, 9, 10 years, they've seen a lot in their time, and they may not need as much of that consulting. So that is something that we've talked about. We have so much in the pipeline for the next year. Our main focus over this next year is just really elevating the client experience. I think this industry was really tough over the past year and a half for everybody involved. I mean, for the carriers, the rates were not where, they used to be. A lot of people went out of business. And it was hard for the brokers too. You look at all the bankruptcies and they've all reported, especially the large brokers, their earnings for the year, and they're also down. Scamming everywhere, right? So everybody in the industry is just kind of like nervous about everything. And so I think, we said, okay, we really need to figure out a way for, factoring companies, brokers, carriers to all really come together and work together really well. And TAPS really needs to focus on the client experience, because we have good competitors, right? And if our rates are all basically the same, what's going to make us stand out? Well, people just, as you had said earlier, people just want to be treated like humans, and they want to feel heard. And I think now that the dust has settled a little bit from the horrible year and a half, I think TAPS is in a much better place to say, okay, how can we really elevate this now and take it to the next level, to where that's something that we truly, truly pride ourselves on. So that's really in the pipeline. Special vendors, like how can we partner up to make it easier on the carriers, is kind of where we're headed to in 2024. So
I love it, because at the end of the day, like you said, they want to be heard, but also just like if you're starting any business, not just trucking, if it's any business, one thing that most businesses, when they find themselves getting in trouble, and not necessarily because they wanted to, it's because of a lack of information, because of having a lack of information. So the fact that you guys are seeing the problem, you are aware of it, and you're actively have it where you, okay, this is something that we're going to put on the table, and we're going to actually figure out which is the most effective way that we can help our clientele in this regard. And so the fact that you're even taking the time to do this, because at the end of the day, let's just keep it real. You're a factoring company. You're not a consulting
right.
company. That is just something that makes it uniquely you. You're saying, okay, we are factoring, but we're going to have this other layer, which is more personable, because we want you to be successful, because we understand how the chain of events happen. If we need you to stay afloat so that our business can go. So you see that, and you're being proactive in regards to that. So I'm glad to hear that you are looking to possibly implement something like that in the future. But I'm also glad that after coming out such a tumultuous time, I would say, from the pandemic all the way now, people are just starting to get their feet on the ground. And then we have all of these other little problems that's budding with the scamming, with the double brokering, with the other issues, right? And so the fact that you're taking time to address those needs in the now, when we need it now, that is very admirable. Now, thinking about, this is what on all truckers, whether you're a truck driver, whether you have a trucking company or what, do you Lord, these sound effects gonna give me every time. So Rob said, lots of great trucking educational articles on our blogs at TAF Content Teams Create. So make sure to go check out their blog section, and you'll be able to see some information about various different hot topics, I would say, that's going on in the trucking and transportation industry in the now. So make sure to go check that out. I would say one of the main things, like I said before, with truckers, people in the transportation industry, whether you run a company or you're a part of a company, is what's happening with the trucking industry? What's the prediction in regards to how do we see trucking from 2024 onward? Because so much had changed, especially when Yellow and all of that went out, and the importance of what you brought out before, which I think is very important that we need to emphasize. If you are a trucking company, you need to diversify, like Brooke said, not putting all your eggs in one basket, because when they went under, a lot of people went under with them. And so just having that type of knowledge would have saved a lot of businesses that went under. So what type of, do you have any type of thoughts in regards to the climate of the trucking industry right now, and how it is now, and it getting better, or it's kind of like flatline, or what we need to do to make it better from a, what, do you have any type of prediction of what we can do better for 2024?
I think so I read a lot of stuff of, what experts in the industry are saying. They think that rates are going to start coming up or kind of making a turn, hopefully in that late second quarter, maybe this summer of 2024. So I'm definitely hoping the same. As far as what TAS is seeing, because we track the average invoice amount, and that number is important to us. And when everything was at its peak in 2021, rates were, the average invoice size was around 2,000, and down to its lowest in the past 18 months, it got down to around 1,300. That's a huge difference.
Yes.
Yeah, your average invoice. And now we're starting to see it slowly come up. January and February are always a little bit slower. A lot of people are just starting their MCs too. So that's a little bit to what that is. Some people take time off, especially if they're not from the US. They might go home for a little bit. It's kind of what we see. But when I see the average invoice size start ticking up a little, that gives me a little bit of hope, because we saw it go down for so long and stay down. So I think we've hit bottom. And I think that it's going to come back up. I think election year is always just kind of crazy too. So you add that in to the industry, and I think it'll be interesting. I think it's going to get better.
Well, yay. Well, I think you're right, because I feel that we hit the bottom of the bottom. Like the pandemic first off kicked it off, and we saw things that we never saw before. And then now, like you said, $1,300 for an invoice. That's a low. And so we only can go up from here, people. So have a little
I know,
hope.
like it can't get lower.
Like, please no. Okay, so we also want to make mention that at the Mid-American Truck Show during Women International Month, She Trucking will be launching our first edition of the Lord help me, the She Trucking magazine. And we are so excited about this first commemorative edition of the magazine. And we are actually featuring TAFs in this magazine as well. So I know you're learning a lot from Brooke today about TAFs and their moral compass, as well as what they do for the carriers in the industry. But you're going to learn more detail about what those services entail. And you'll be able to scan a code or be able to go to their website and be able to join. You're going to see all of this. So you're going to learn all about TAF. You're going to understand when she was talking about the recovery, the speedy race. They operate 365 days a year. For us, just speaking about that good old fuel, honey, how much it costs and how can you help me? They have those fuel cards ready. And also they have extensive benefits for growth. So they're more than just a factoring company. That's what they are, but there's so much more, because they help you, in my opinion, when other people might not help you. I mean, and the attention to detail on what TAFs does for their carriers and the business owners of those carriers. What they do is just it's more than just a factoring, in my opinion. I know this is not their slogan, but in my opinion, they're more than just a factoring company. Y'all might need to coin that. You're more than just a factoring company. And so in this new terrain that we find ourselves in, the new tapestry of what we see going on within the trucking and transportation industry, and for those of you who already have a trucking business and you're trying to figure out which factoring company should you go with, you should go with the best. You should go with TAFs. Okay, because like I said, it's more than just a factoring company. They're actually going to help you, and they also have things implemented to educate you. Okay, at the end of the day, you don't only need services, you need to be educated about the why, so that you can effectively run your business and be able to be in business for the long haul, not short term, but for the long haul. And so I'm just so thankful for you for giving me some of your time, Brooke, today. And I also want to say a big thank you to our She Trucking Magazine sponsors. And I also want to let people know that we are going to be giving away this first edition of the She Trucking Magazine for absolutely free, thanks to the sponsors. But we need more sponsors so that we can give away more magazines for absolutely free at this event, because it's more than just a magazine. It's actually attaching you to wonderful companies like Taft and information that you need to know in order to grow, whether you are a trucker, whether you are transportation, whether you are a company. You can connect with different people. And also you'll get to meet our vice president that we got on She Trucking. So you'll be able to meet and see a lot of us that you may not necessarily see that's behind the scenes. So we want to give a special thank you to Brandon Johnson, Nate Johnson, and John White. We want to give a special thank you for being some of the first contributors for the She Trucking Magazine, but we still need your help, okay? And if your heart is moved to do so, which I know it is, I need you to go on to donate at shetrucking.com. We also have John White as well. So thank you everyone for all of your contributions towards the magazine so that we can be able to give this invaluable free resource to the individuals that's at the MATS event that's going to be happening next month. And you can also join the movement yourself. You can get your company featured inside the pages of the magazine by placing your ad today by going to www.shetrucking.com. And on the cover for our volume 1, we have our amazing new vice president, Gabriella Simmons, and we're going over 6 tips how to troubleshoot to save time and money. We have many truckers now that's homeschooling. They want to know how they can homeschool their children while they're trucking. We also talk about the CDL scholarships that She Trucking actually provides, commonly asked questions about being a truck driver, and so much more within the pages of our first She Trucking magazine in representation of women in the trucking, like the amazing Brooke and all the 70%ers over there of women at Taft. Okay, like that is something. Like when I saw that photo, Brooke, of all of you sitting on that desk, and you had the She Trucking, and you had Taft behind you. Here it is. I was like, oh. Yeah.
I know, it's so cute. And we have a lot more women than that, but most of that is sales as well. And so we're all like, we all saw the sweatshirts and like, okay, we all want to order some swag and then take a picture and just wear the swag. I mean, it's good swag, which is important.
Oh, yes. I 100% agree with you. But it was just great to see when I saw it. So to me, I'm like, wait, that's She Trucking logo. And I'm like, wait. Then I was like, oh, that's Taft. I'm like, this is amazing. I mean, just like, because She Trucking is all about helping women, to be able to grow and have thriving businesses, or be able to thrive in this industry and have that necessary support. So we want to thank you guys for being our platinum sponsor for the She Trucking podcast. And one more thing I wanted to ask you was, what do you, let me see, how can I say this? What do you want to leave with the women in She Trucking? Because we have 30,000 women just in the Facebook group. But when you start counting up everything on social media, it's way more. So what indelible mark you would like to leave, Taft would like to leave with the She Trucking Foundation? Because our members mean a lot to us. And I know that your clients mean a lot to you. So what are you going to do to help them?
I think a lot of it is just, continuing to ask questions and get involved. I mean, women are so smart. They're powerful. We can really conquer anything. And so I think it's really important that, foundations like She Trucking come about. And you guys, I mean, I was looking over the site. It's incredible how much you guys have done. And I looked at like the timeline, and it said Sheree just got her CDL 10 years ago. I was like, holy cow, there's there's so much that's been done. And I think this is a hot topic. And I think more women should continue speaking up, making sure that they're going after rates aggressively, just like the men do. They're pushing to fight for the top, just as the men are, because we can do it. And really, women are heavily, heavily needed in transportation. So continue entering that world, and really the opportunities are endless. And we're so grateful to have a partnership with you guys, because I think it's really powerful.
I know it's powerful because, like you're saying, have that same synergy, and having women and showing that we are here. We are here, and we are representing so many different layers within this industry. And you guys just bring a different layer to bring awareness, self-awareness for us to even know that this area or this arena does exist and we can thrive in this area. We don't necessarily have to be in the truck in order to be a part of the impactful movement that's going on within the industry right now, because many of us can't, I'm not gonna say many, but some can't see themselves driving a large truck or a large rig or even a box truck, but they still want to help. And this is another way that they can help and still be a part of the transportation industry. So I thank you so much for sharing that knowledge and sharing that information, also broadening our minds to this side of logistics, because I never really thought about factoring before, in this way. I just, you just, broaden my perspective in that regard, because I know about factoring, but I didn't think of it in this light. So the fact that you was able to share that, thank you so much. So we already had all this serious conversation, Brooke, for the whole, the whole interview. So now it's time to be a little lighthearted. Do you have any favorite quote or anything that Brooke just absolutely loves to do? It don't necessarily have to be anything about trucking. It could just be you. Because we work all the time.
I know. I'm never not working, whether it's at home with the kids or it's here. It's like,
me too. I'm a mother too.
Oh yeah. After I leave work, I'm like, it's second shift. Here we go. Which is just as important as, this shift during the day. I guess probably my favorite quote, it has to probably do with leadership. That's what I went to get my graduate degree in, and I try to read a lot about leadership, but something that really changed a lot of my mindset, and I don't even know who said it, but I read it somewhere, and it was like, leadership isn't about what they can do for me, it's about what I can do for them. And I think that's so important, because I think some people view, when they're in a higher title, might view it as, hey, how can people get some stuff off my plate? And I really don't view it like that. I try to view it as, okay, am I giving the people underneath me enough support to get their job done, to make them successful? And so I really look at leadership as kind of like a servant type role, instead of the other way around. And so that kind of guides a lot of my thinking or my decision making. So that's probably my favorite quote, when it comes to just working in life and in general, is really that leadership role.
I love the quote. Now I'm gonna have to use it for myself.
Yeah, good.
I love it. And at the end of the day, to be a successful leader, in all cases, ones who I have watched, who I have learned from, to be a successful leader, you have to learn how to be a servant leader first. You have to put the word servant in front of your leadership, because like you said, you have to put others first. And once you learn how to navigate that terrain effectively, thank you for coming on the She Trucking Podcast today, being a featured guest on our show. And you guys make sure to check out Brooke and their amazing company at Taft's Factory. You can call them today at 1-866-896-2671, or just simply visit their website at www.tafs www.tafs.com. That's TAFS. Yes, it's www.tafs.com. So if you are a business, trucking business, and you need help with getting yourself together, getting yourself in order, honey, then you need to give TAFS a call or visit their website today. Again, check out their blog that was mentioned earlier today, and make sure if you have not registered for MATS, go ahead and register for MATS, and we would love to see you at MATS next month, March the 21st through the 23rd. Come visit both of our tables. We would love to see you there. Again, Brooke, thank you again for being a platinum sponsor of the She Trucking Podcast, and thank you for giving us some of your time, you guys. This is the end of the She Trucking Podcast. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place.
Be strong.
DJ Tony Dubb. She gon' take care of her bitch, she truckin'. She a woman with a rig, she truckin'. She gon' take care of her kids, she truckin'. Yeah, she a boss, she do it bitch, she truckin'. She truckin'. She a boss, she do it big, she truckin'. She a woman with a rig, she truckin'. She truckin'. Ah.
Join the She Trucking Foundation today and be a part of a supportive community of women in the trucking industry. Unlock exclusive access to valuable resources, including mentorship, educational workshops, and networking opportunities. Whether you're an experienced professional or just starting your trucking journey, She Trucking is here to empower you and help you thrive. Visit www.shetrucking.com to join us and drive your trucking career to new heights.
Welcome to the She Trucking Podcast. My name is Cindy Tunstall, and I'm your host of the Enjoying Life OTR episode. We have a fabulous show for you today. I can't wait for you to meet our guests. But before we do that, I have to tell y'all, I'm a part of the She Trucking Foundation, and look what I got in the mail. My She Trucking Driver Appreciation gift box. And I'm so excited. I've been waiting to this day to open it. It feels like Christmas. I've been trying to cheat and shake it and see what's in there. I've been looking at everybody else's gift boxes that what they've been in packaging. I noticed they're all a little bit different. So I'm like, I want to show y'all what I got. Okay, I got a She Trucking Foundation. It's our goal to complete a mission to inspire,
empower, and offer transportation scholarships to help the great members like you. Each donation that we receive will be used to change lives each year. So if y'all are not a member of the She Trucking Foundation, I encourage you to join up, because not only do you get to support other women who are coming into the industry, but you also get to be a part of change. You get to give your feedback about the things that are happening out there. And the part I love being a part of it is I get to network with other great women who are doing this work and thriving in the industry. So it's so inspiring to get to be around other people. So love that. Okay, let me see what else I got in here. See if I can hold this up and show y'all. Look at all this stuff. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, I love this. Okay, I got Transfix sent me little sleeves. I think these are sleeves for protect your arm from the sun. Y'all, my left arm, I use sunscreen and I still get so dark. So I'm super excited about that. Oh, what is this? Oh, look at this. She Trucking. Oh, it's a tote bag. Y'all, I need this in the truck. I'm so excited about this. I feel like I always need little things to get organized. Oh, look at these torn pages. I love these. These are little beads that are made out of paper. I could use these to hang in my truck. Look at Landstar getting a little calculator. I always need that. Oh, look at some little self-care items, some chapstick and some lotion. Y'all, there is so much stuff in here. This is crazy. Oh, look at stainless steel tumbler. Love that. Oh, look at this. Truckingparkingclub.com. Okay, y'all, OTR, if y'all are not on this website, you have to get this app. This is so incredible. You can put your location in there and they will find available parking for you. If you're driving down the road and you can't have time to search and you know it's getting late and you're hitting the wall, you know, when you hit those miles and you're like looking at the clock, I'm out of time, you can call them. They will help find and set you up a reservation without you even having to pull the truck over, and you can do it safely. It's so great. So y'all do this. Truckparkingclub.com. This is incredible. I mean, seriously, I don't know how they thought of this, but it's beautiful. And it's not always just like the big, huge places. Sometimes it'll be some little random truck stop. There's just a little small thing, and there's only a few spaces in there, and there's room for you. So I know truck parking is always an issue. It is for me too, and I'm even in a box truck. So, oh wow, look at these gloves. How cute are they? Got a little pink. I like black gloves because, you know, they get filthy. So, but I like that little pink on there. Got a little She Trucking. Oh, wow. What is this? Always wear your seatbelt. Our roads safely. Share the road safely.gov. Ah, look at that. Cute. What is this? So many goodies. Clean water, clear choice. The City of Chattanooga water quality program. Nice. Love that. Markers. Oh my gosh. Look at these snacks. Y'all, I know I need some snacks on set. Look at this hat. National Truck Driver Appreciation Week. I got a cap. I don't wear sunglasses. I wear caps when I'm driving. I got a t-shirt. Oh, love that. Seriously, y'all, this is crazy good. Where you go, best pass, like that. Oh, what is this? Okay, little pads. We don't need that. Just in case I'm on the road. Okay, there's more. I gotta put this down so I can get to the bottom. My trucking life journal. My parents are always saying, are you writing down all these crazy stories you're never going to remember? You know, some stuff happens out there. Look at that. I love that. So thoughtful. Yeah, Sheree, y'all hooked this up. What is in here? Okay, I'm sorry. It's taking so long to open. It's like when you're at a family Christmas and you're waiting on that one person. It's taking forever to open their gifts. And you want to open yours? Okay, that's what's happening right now. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to go fast. Okay, so let me see what I have here. Oh, this is about the insurance health plan. What is this? Okay, insurance options. Love that. Start healthy. Let's start your health. Love that. So many goodies here. Well, I just have to say thank you, Sheree Moore, and all of our sponsors of She Trucking, all these wonderful things that you gave to express your appreciation for us. You know, She Trucking, we have so many beautiful partnerships. So I'm so very grateful. So this is so generous. I mean, it really is like Christmas, isn't it? Anyway, so if y'all aren't a part of the She Trucking Foundation and She Trucking Group, I encourage you to join up because they really take care of us drivers. And just do so much to take care of us. Okay, there's a bracelet in here too, and I can't find it, Sheree. Look at this cute little pen. I love that. All right, there's a She Trucking Foundation bracelet in there. Oh, I see it. Oh, here it is. Oh, I love this. I missed it. After y'all aren't on, I'm gonna have to play with everything. Look at this. Look how cute that is. She Trucking bracelet. Love that. Oh, Sheree, for real. This is too much. Look at these beads. Love that. I'll put that on right now. Okay, and no distraction with my gift box. Anyway, She Trucking loves and values truckers, and so many of our sponsors have just been so generous to give these gifts. So if y'all didn't sign up this year to get one, y'all be sure to sign up next time, because so many goodies. This box is huge. Look at all the stuff in here. I didn't even go through it all. There's so many great things. Anyway, so, okay, back to the show. Okay, we have a great episode for you today. You know, our show is Enjoying Life OTR. My passion is, you know, I'm an OTR driver. I drive a 26-foot box truck full time. I do OTR. I stay in the hotels usually, but my goal is to take advantage of the opportunity to travel. You know, we get to travel all over this beautiful country, and I love the driving. I love the work. I love negotiating my own lanes. I love deciding where I'm going to go. I mean, I love all parts of trucking. I love securing my freight and, you know, telling everybody on the dock what needs to happen and get everything there securely. I mean, I love all parts of the job. But I also want to take care of myself. You know, when I'm out for 3 weeks at a time, I know it is not good for my spirit just to be solely all about the work. We need to have some balance, right? I love adventure. I love to travel. My family is military, so we traveled all over. And one of the things that, and I still tell my father this today, I've told him that my parents this recently, you know, when my family would move to a new area, they would go on a mission to find out all the great things to do in that city, because we knew we were only going to be there about 18 months, and they had 4 children, and everybody knew we're not coming back here because it's just too expensive. So my parents would just be on a mission to find all the great things to do in that city. So I would just I think that just kind of bled into me as a trucker. I'm like, it's the same way. You know, when I go to Chicago, I live in Dallas. That's where my family is. And my parents and my brother are in Florida. I have family in Houston, but I'm just like, I want to take advantage of the opportunity to be there. You know, when I go to Tennessee, I want to go hiking. I want to see the waterfalls. When I go to Colorado, I want to be up in the mountains and enjoy the scenery. When I'm in Chicago, I want to go have some good food that I don't have in Texas. You know, when I'm in Texas, I want to get some good Mexican food. So, you know, I want to take advantage of all of the cultural things that are around me, both with the food and then also sightseeing. And, you know, I found when I travel to a new area, I will sometimes say to the people that are there, you know, I'll talk to a tree. So, you know, I'll go up to somebody and I'll say, hey, by the way, what's something good to do around here? Local people sometimes can't tell me anything good to do. You know, they'll go, I don't know, there's not really much to do around here. You know, I'm like, okay. You know, so I'm hopping on TripAdvisor and trying to find some fun things to do. But I wanted to find things. I wanted to create a community of people that like to explore, like to take advantage of the opportunity to travel and share their ideas. You know, I don't want to spend all my money on Uber. So I want to try to find some places with truck parking. And I want to make the most of the opportunity to travel without spending a small fortune. So I created a online community. I have enjoyinglifeotr.com is my website, but I also have a Facebook group with the same name, so Enjoying Life OTR. So I want to just share our ideas and things that we've been able to do while we're on the road that didn't cost a fortune. So we're not just living in the truck, you know, it's not great. So without further ado, I have stumbled upon somebody that is Enjoying Life OTR. She is full-time OTR driver. She literally lives in her truck. She travels all over the country, traveling to see her friends and family and doing the work, but she's really making the most of the lifestyle. You know, she's cooking in her truck and just doing a lot of great things. And I saw some of her pictures. I was like, girl, I got to have you on the show because it is pretty incredible. Okay, before I introduce her and bring her on, I want to read this quote to you because somebody in our Facebook group saw her pictures and then she shared this quote. I think y'all have heard this. but she shared this in the She Trucking Facebook group. She said, whatever you give a woman, she will make it greater. If you give her a house, she'll make a home. If you give her groceries, she'll make a meal. And if you give her a smile, she'll give you her heart. Women multiply and enlarge what is given to her. And I thought that is a perfect perfect introduction for our guest. So we're going to go to commercial right now. She's getting ready backstage and she's going to be joining us in just a minute. I can't wait for you to meet her. So y'all sit tight. After this commercial, I'll get to share her story. She's truly inspiring. You're going to love meeting her. Welcome back to Enjoying Life OTR and the She Trucking podcast. Today, our guest, I want to introduce you and bring her on. Her name is Dina McKinney. Welcome to the show, Dina. I'm so excited to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today.
We are thrilled to have you on the show. So before we get started, I know we got a picture of the back of your truck there. So that's a little inspiration and give everybody a little cue about how you're living out there, because I love the way that you've designed your space. So we're going to definitely talk about that. But before we get into that, your lifestyle on the road, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into trucking and kind of just give everybody a little bit of an overview so they can get to know you a little bit.
Oh, I'd be more than glad to. Well, as she said, my name is Dina McKinney. I'm 58 years old. I started driving trucks when I was 52, and 52 is a little bit later in life, but you know, sometimes you just need to get a second, third, and fourth start in life, and this was about my sixth one. So a little bit about me. I'm a divorced mom with 6 kids. I have 6 grandchildren. My kids primarily live in the Southeast, in Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida. My oldest is my daughter, who's 39, married with 3 kids. Then I have a son who's married with 2. And then I got a big gap. And then I've got, 24, 23, 20, and 19, or is it 21 and 20? Anyway, about the youngest one is like right there at 20 years old.
Yeah.
And all my kids are just doing amazing things, but because they're so spread out, and because the 4 younger ones are in their younger 20s, when I started trucking, my younger kids were all still right in high school, and they were all approaching the time when they would be going to college. And because I was divorced, I was struggling before I became a truck driver. I was actually a full-time head cake decorator at Whole Foods Market in Napa, California. And prior to that, I was the head night baker for Panera Bread in San Francisco. So I've got skills. Prior to that, I went to beauty school, became a hairdresser. I joined the Army and was a dental assistant for over 20 years. So I've done many different things. So I brought a lot of skill sets to trucking. But I had an accident at Whole Foods where I fell and hit my head on a concrete floor. It took me months to get back on my feet. And when I did, I just couldn't stand. And, you know, I'm over 50. I've got all these kids to support. They're getting ready to go to college, and I needed to have funds to help support them. And I got a random text message one day from CRST, of all companies, which personally at this point would not recommend because it's a rough company. It's a starter company for sure. But you have to start somewhere. I did not do my due diligence. I didn't do any research. They gave a text message, and quite literally 2 weeks later, I was in Los Angeles and I was in truck driving school. 2 weeks after that, I had my CDL. 2 weeks after that, I was trainer, and that was almost 6 years ago, and I have never looked back.
Oh, wow.
When I started trucking, of course, I teamed for about the first year, which I'm very grateful for. Teaming really helped me develop the mechanical skill sets that I needed to be able to do this job well and to do it safely. It came very natural to me. I've loved driving my whole entire life. I will never forget. I was in my mid 30s. I had 4 kids in diapers under 4 at the same time. I was about ready to go physically and mentally insane. I'll never forget standing outside of my car at a grocery store. I think I was at Walmart one day, trying to shove kids and groceries into the car, and there goes the semi truck. And all I could think of was, oh, I really want to do that. I need an escape. You know, it would be many, many years before I could actually do it. And so when the opportunity came, I just didn't even give it a second thought. I just went and did it. In hindsight, I probably should have done a lot more research for the starter company that I was going to go with, and, you know, just learn a little bit more about what was going to be the expectations. But I'm sort of a shoot from the hip. If an opportunity comes by me, I'm just going to go run with it. And that's exactly what I did. And I will say that trucking has been, bar none, next to joining the military, it has been, bar none, the absolute best thing I've ever done for myself.
I love that. I have a couple of questions, Dina. I want to ask you, when you did team driving, were you with a man or a woman?
Both.
Okay, I would say, how was that? Was that difficult for you? I know some women don't want to be in the truck with a man. Honestly, I don't know if I would either. I don't want to team with anybody either, just man or woman. I think
because I had been in the military, being with a man just never bothered me, and I'm a tomboy all through and through.
Okay.
My first co-driver actually turned out to be a felon. It's a bad story. One day I'll have to write that story.
I know, right?
But because of him, I ended up quitting that company after only being with him for 4 months. So I wasn't fully trained by the time I left there. I almost died. Quite honestly, I ended up avoiding a 30 truck pileup in Echo Canyon in Utah. Because I left my co-driver at a fuel stop.
Did you do that on purpose?
That's one cardinal rule about truck driving with a team member. Don't ever leave them at the truck stop. And I did just that very thing. But in my own defense, the man did not leave a sign that he had left the truck. And I was the first one in the store. It was 5:30 in the morning. I had to use a water hose. He left the curtain shut. I left the truck running. I went in, I sat on the toilet, and I will never forget. I prayed to God openly that night. I just said, Lord, please. I hadn't been able to stop since 5:30 early. I was over my clock. I was busting everything up. We'd had a shutdown. We had a really horrible snowstorm that night. It was a 10-speed manual that I'm driving in crappy weather on ice. We should have shut down hours earlier, but he just pushed me. So I got back in the truck. I pulled the curtain back. I saw a pile of blankets. I thought it was him. Thought I heard him groan. It was just the truck. And I took off. I didn't know until 75 miles later I left him behind.
I've heard of others that have done that, so I don't think it's too unusual. Okay, I've got some questions for you. Okay, so now the picture that we're seeing in the back of the truck, you're a company driver, right? This is not your own rig, right? This is a company truck?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us what kind of truck you're in, and tell us a little bit about how you've made it feel like home, because it's really incredible what you've done.
Thank you. So this has been a long year's work in progress. I work for a company called Z Transportation out of Lincoln Park, New Jersey. I love them. I've been with them a year right now. It's my 1-year anniversary with them. When I started with them, they gave me a brand new 2023 Peterbilt 579 Ultra Loft. The Ultra Loft is the largest interior sleeper in the market today for standard cabs. It's an 80-inch sleeper. So the bottom bunk is the size of a full-size standard bed, and the top bunk is the size of a standard twin, not the skinny twin like most semi-trucks like Freightliners and Kenworths have. So the top bunk, actually, I sleep on the top bunk. Everyone's like, where do you sleep? Like out on the catwalk. I've got a hammock out there. No, I have a full-size Tempur-Pedic mattress that I squished up onto the top bunk. So curls up on the back wall like a sofa, and I sleep like a baby. And since I'm solo, I'm not driving in the middle of the night, so I'm not bouncing around. It's fabulous. I have my own ladder that is a telescoping ladder that stretches up.
Yeah.
And then it sinks down, and then it stores right in front of a cabinet. It's
Nice.
tucked behind a rubber strap, so very easy in and out. The bottom bunk, as you can see behind me there, that is the kitchen that I mounted in there. It looks complicated. It's actually pretty simple. It's this the simple aluminum shelving that you can buy at Walmart or at Home Depot that you just put together. You can adjust the shelves where you want them. I got smart and but I have a whole bunch of tools. I love woodworking, and I love building things and creating things. This has been a lot of when I started out, it didn't look like this. This is what I consider my upgraded gourmet version of my kitchen. It's had many iterations in every truck I've been in, with every company that I've been in. This one particular one you're looking at and behind me, though, is the first time I've actually screwed something in. And it's because in the Peterbilt, the bottom bunk actually has a wooden base to the bottom bunk. And so you can screw wooden screws in there. And see, only the legs on that countertop are screwed into the bottom to secure it. That's it. Then the top itself is magnetized and hooked in with magnets to legs that are made out of cast iron pipe with flanges on top. So there's a lot of innovation and a lot of thought that went into this. It's surrounded by shelving. There is a big deep freeze on one end, and then there's a long, that's the deep freeze right there. Thank you. And I've got a magnet on the front that's got a knife rack, and then I've got the spice rack on the back. And then there's a bread maker, a dehydrator. I have just about every kitchen appliance. This is a shelf that I made above the passenger and driver's seat that stores my clothing. And that rack to the left that you're seeing there is my coffee rack and small towel storage. The orange and white thing you saw there was my shower. Yeah, there's the ladder and that shelf on the cabinet there, the white cabinet. All that fits behind the driver's seat. That's where I keep my coffee and my tea and things like that. My microwave sits there up on the top. That's a different the oven that you see there is an air fryer oven. The sink, the little white sink, is a hand sink that's sitting in top of a bigger, deeper sink underneath that butcher block top. And then just storage. There's my KitchenAid mixer. Yep, there's the deeper sink. That faucet has running water. The sink drains outside, so I don't have to dump anything.
I keep what a blessing to have the water in the truck. I think that's so
really
great.
is. And I haven't said that's a Thanksgiving dinner I made several years ago, and I made it entirely from scratch in my truck. That was a different truck.
Wow.
But I made that. I made enough for two. Unfortunately, there was no one at the truck stop for me to share it with, so I just had a lot of leftovers that time.
Okay, Dina, I have questions. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I know when people in our Facebook community, they saw your pictures, and I even know nobody, they could not. And even for me, I was like, okay, what does she have, a super sleeper? I mean, how does she have all this stuff? So that picture that we've had behind you, that is actually the lower bunk of in the truck where the lower sleeper would be normally. Okay, because everybody was saying to go, I do not understand how she has so much space. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. The other question
and to understand,
go ahead.
Yeah, that's my top bunk. That's where I sleep.
Beautiful.
So to understand, the interior of that particular model Peterbilt has an 8-foot interior ceiling. I'm only 5 foot tall.
Nice.
So when the bottom bunk is down, the bulkhead of the bottom bunk is over my head.
Okay.
Right. So I'm not bending down. And I know, like in a Kenworth, it's a lower, or if you have like a mid roof, it's going to be lower, and sometimes it's super compressed, and people won't even use the top bunk because it feels like you're sleeping in a coffin. I
Sure,
know
sure.
that this setup here is not something that everybody can do in any given truck, because you really have to modify it to the truck that you are in. But I have had modified versions of this that are much smaller and much more user-friendly and less gourmet, but very, very, very user-friendly as far as being able to do basic things like washing your hands, washing dishes, taking a spit bath, cooking, things like that. And I'm in the process right now of starting my own YouTube channel. It's called The Salty Trucker, and in my own webpage called The Salty Trucker. And
Awesome.
within the Salty Trucker, I'll have my blog, which is Life on the Rumble Strip. I do photography, which is 5-axle photography. And then also I do all the things that I'll be teaching you how to do in the truck are called Otter Hacks. So
Okay, so listen, hold that thought, Dina. Just 1 second. Let me jump in here just for a minute. Okay, I want to tell our audience, I know that the drivers have questions for you. So those that are watching on the live stream, if you could shoot your questions in there, and we'll try to get to those some of them may come up just organically in our conversation. But if you have questions, try to put those in the comments, and we'll try to let Dina answer some of those at the end. We're going to go to commercial in just a few minutes. And then I want to talk. I know the truckers have questions. I mean, I know about power and how you're secure and everything. We want to hear all about those things. And then I wondered if maybe too, you could be thinking about maybe some recipes or some things that you're cooking on the truck for maybe somebody that's never, considered. And I know some people, don't like the smells in the truck. I see that a lot of times. People don't want to have the smell of the food in the truck. So, we know that some people are like that, but for those people that, we, in our community especially, we have so many women that are brand new to trucking. They maybe just got their truck and they do want to make it feel a little bit more like home. So after we go to our commercial, then I want to hear a little bit about practically how you could encourage them to get started, and maybe even share a recipe with us that's something that, maybe not a gourmet cook could make on the
absolutely.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much. And we'll go to commercial, and then we'll get back to that in just a minute and hear some more of your great ideas, because it's truly inspiring what you're doing. And I know it's going to really help people to be creative and think outside the box about what's possible on the road. So I'm really grateful to get to pick your brain a little bit more. So we'll come back in just a minute because I got some more big questions for you.
Okay, great.
Join the She Trucking Foundation today and be a part of a supportive community of women in the trucking industry. Unlock exclusive access to valuable resources, including mentorship, educational workshops, and networking opportunities. Whether you're an experienced professional or just starting your trucking journey, She Trucking is here to empower you and help you thrive. Visit www.shetrucking.com to join us and drive your trucking career to new heights.
Okay. So I have a bunch of questions. Some of these I got directly from the She Trucking community. One of them was, how are you powering all that cooking? I mean, so do you have an APU in your truck, or are you using an inverter, and how are you keeping everything hot or cold? So talk to us about the power and how that's working.
Actually, that's a great question. Power is absolutely the beginning of any type of situation that you want to build out in your truck. I am really fortunate. In my truck, I was allowed to put in, and I bought it myself, and my company installed it for me really for nothing because they know I do this. But I have a V4 3500 watt inverter in my truck.
Okay.
So that when I'm buying all of my appliances, I'm making sure that my wattage on every appliance is less than half the amount of the max that my inverter can have. And later on when I do my thing.
Okay, Dina, say that again for somebody that's just brand new to this and they don't know what you're talking about. Think about a brand new CDL holder, and talk to them about how that's going. Are you idling all the time? So give a real basic thing about that, because maybe somebody, brand new to this,
Yes.
so you might be
So-
speaking some foreign language to some of our listeners.
Exactly. I apologize. You're right. So when you're wanting to power any type of appliance in your truck, most trucks that are standard company trucks are going to have about a 1500 watt inverter if you're fortunate. A 1500 watt inverter, you can use an appliance that's 200, 300, 400, about 700 watts maximum. Because once you plug that, say like that coffee pot that's right there, that coffee pot is probably about 800 watts, might be a little bit more. But when you plug it in and you use it, it's going to have a peak wattage that it's going to use. So it might go up to 1100. If you have a 1500 watt inverter, then you're not going to blow it. Basically, you're not going to trip it off. The inverter is a power unit that is going to be hardwired to your battery wall in your truck. It has heavy duty cables and it has to take a professional to install it. It is different from the type of inverter that you plug into a 12 volt. Those are very small. Those are for things like lights, powering your phones, maybe powering your laptop, but very, very, very low wattage. But when you're powering something such as an oven or a microwave or a gaming system or a television, you're going to need more power. I'd highly recommend that if you need more power, inquire with your company if you're allowed to upgrade the inverter in your truck at your own expense, meaning that you will buy the inverter yourself. Most trucks can have a maximum of a 3,000 watt inverter, and 3,000 watts is really kind of where you want to be, because with 3,000 watts, almost any appliance that you buy on Amazon or at Walmart will actually can accommodate that without blowing up. And when I say blowing up, it means cutting it off so that you don't have any power to anything as far as your appliance is concerned. It also won't use up your battery power and it won't burn out your alternator, because the alternator is what keeps the batteries powered. I do idle 100%. And my company has me do that. In my truck, I don't have an APU, which is a lot of companies do have those. Those are systems that allow for you to have heating and cooling when the truck is off. It has its own little power source. Also, there's another thing that you can have, which is the bunk heater, which is just strictly for heat. And again, it has its own little power source. I don't have either one of those. So for me, I do idle 100% of the time when I'm in my truck, especially because when you don't idle, you can lose your food in your refrigerator. And I have both a refrigerator and a freezer. So it's imperative that I have the ability to constantly idle. But that idling allows me to use the inverter because it's constantly cycling and constantly powering itself. And that's how that works. So any other questions, I'd be more than glad to answer at a later time. And I can go on and actually do a whole entire section on that at She Trucking in the group.
Okay.
So that anybody has questions about that, I would love to answer those.
And I know your truck is in the shop right now, so we're just looking at pictures of your setup.
Yeah.
But after you get back, after you get the truck back, you can do a little more detailed orientation. And I know that the audience, after hearing your story, is going to want to hear more. Okay, the next question that I got, and this is the one that honestly, that for me, I was like, okay, how is she securing all that stuff? Because I mean, I know you could put stuff away, but are you like practically living, like, are you putting all that stuff underneath storage every day? You got little, I mean, how
what you
is it
see
so
in that
well
picture right
done?
there,
Yeah.
the way that it looks in that picture right there is actually how it rides down the road every single day.
Okay, how is that possible? Tell me a
All
little
right,
bit
so
about that.
part of
I mean,
it, I know people are freaked out when they see this. They're like, I don't get this. Part of it is that the Peterbilt 2020, the 579 Peterbilt Ultralock is a very smooth riding truck.
okay,
Number one.
that's helpful.
So it doesn't bounce around a lot. And I learned on Freightliners, and they're called freight shakers for a reason. But the Peterbilt is sort of the Cadillac of semi trucks, and it's very smooth riding. But I will say, I do go to extreme lengths to secure my things. Take, for instance, the coffee pot. The coffee
Okay.
pot is sitting on a silicone mat that is non-slip.
Okay.
So sits there, it doesn't budge. It just doesn't budge. Plus, it's locked into a plate that it's hooked into to heat. The mixer is on a no slip grip piece of rubber underneath it.
Okay.
I use the dish towel mats. I use underneath everything on the counter. The shelving is all secured with ratchet straps into the buckle system in the walls.
Okay.
The freezer has a wooden board that's screwed down in front of it to help it so that it doesn't slide. The
Okay.
counter is secured because the legs are screwed into the wooden top that I was talking about, and then
Yeah.
it's magnetized and it's hooked in behind something so it can't slide forward.
Okay, great.
Everything, there's a lot of things you don't see. So I use a lot of magnets, mini bungee cords, double barbed Velcro. I use just and another thing too is I pack it in there so tight and wedge it in so tight that it doesn't slip and move.
Yeah.
And then if it's on a shelf, I make sure that it's secured with a mini bungee cord, like crisscrossed over it, so that if I have a hard break, which is very rare, it bounces out, but it won't fly out. I've actually only had that happen one time. I have to be honest, it's happened one time
Okay.
that things kind of flew out, but
Yeah.
it was easy to pick up and put back, because the other part of it is I have everything highly organized and packed in a way that it's not a bunch of little loose stuff everywhere. It looks kind of like it, but it really isn't. And it makes it easier to keep clean, and it makes it easier to pack up if I have to move out.
Yeah, that's good. I was thinking about that too. I'm like, well, you obviously don't change trucks very often. So, I mean,
No.
you're sitting in the same truck. Well, that's awesome. It's truly impressive what you've done. I love all the little touches that you have, like even the colored, the dish towel hanging back there, just it's really beautiful. The butcher block countertop, the sink. I mean, it does look like a beautiful home, very modern
Thank
and
you.
very functional as a kitchen. Okay, so let's talk cooking. I'm a foodie, so I like to eat some good food. So can you give us some little bit of highlights about some of the things? We have a picture on the screen there. What is that we're looking at? And is that something that a everyday, maybe a beginner cook could try?
That recipe right there is something that every person that can cook on the truck can do that very simply. That is simply a package of cheese-filled tortellini that I bought at Aldi's. Then it's actually shelf stable. It doesn't require refrigeration, so it can store on a shelf.
Nice.
It's a package of broccoli from the freezer, so freezer broccoli, and a pack of salad shrimp, and then a jar of Alfredo sauce. 4 simple ingredients.
Easy.
Just 4 simple ingredients. Saute up the shrimp with a little bit of butter and olive oil, a little bit of salt, and then toss in the Alfredo sauce. Toss in the tortellini. Throw in the broccoli and saute up, and boom. Now it's topped off. I will say that it is topped off with some fresh parsley. And one thing I try to do in my truck all the time is have a live herb garden that I keep in the front seat.
Oh my God.
I'm not kidding. I actually have one. I actually brought it to my daughter's house so it wouldn't dry up while it's at the shop.
I love that.
I have 2 types. I have 2 types of parsley. I have basil. I have rosemary and mint in my and basil mint and lemon basil in my garden. So this way I can snip it and add it, and it's fresh and it's awesome and it smells delightful, and it's something that's live that I can take care of. I will say it is absolutely critical that you customize the interior of your truck. One of the hardest things for drivers, especially new drivers, you will feel lonely, you'll feel isolated, and you'll feel like you're living in a black box. So change it up. Add some fairy lights, add Christmas lights, put in some fancy bedding. Spend a little bit of that hard-earned money on yourself. Do not feel bad about that. Get some nice pillows, get some baskets, upgrade your things. When you start out, you may have to start out going to the Dollar General or the dollar store and just getting plastic bins. That's okay. That's how I started. we start out poor. We don't make a lot of money in the beginning, but as you get along and you start doing more and more, you can upgrade. And that's where I'm at. And this is like my 4th iteration of this kitchen. It didn't start out like this. And this is, 6 years of long, hard work and planning. I drive a lot of miles, so I got a lot of time to think about it. So that's what I did. But customize, bring things on board that make you happy. People always complain, I miss home, and I'm out on the road and I'm missing everything, and I get depressed and I get lonely. You know what? That's not me. I am in my home every day and I take it everywhere I go. And when I'm off that clock, I turn around and I'm home and I'm happy and I'm surrounded by things that make me happy. The front of cab of my truck is filled with toys and stickers. It looks like a 12-year-old lives in there. It makes me happy. I've got pictures of my children. I've stuffed animals. I have bright colors. I made it look like it, so it doesn't look like a semi truck. And believe me, that has been one of the biggest benefits to my mental health, to know that I have a place that I can chill out, that I can relax in, that I can decompress in. And if I don't have the opportunity to do like you do, go to the center of town, take in a movie, man, I can make popcorn and have a movie right there in my truck. Or I can, I carry a sewing machine. I have crafting tools. I can do crafts. I can paint. I can read. I can write. I have my computer. I have streaming so I can watch movies. I have fun. I relax. I can do spa day.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, a couple of things that you said that I want to highlight. Some ways to save money. I love the Dollar General, getting some inexpensive storage bins there. Also, another tip for setting up your truck is to going to the thrift stores. I've had drivers that will say that they got a George Foreman grill for $2 at the thrift store, or, they found some cookware there, or, because we don't need a whole bunch of things. We don't need a full place setting. We don't need everything to be matchy. So we can go and find little odds and ends there that bring beauty and things, even just a throw pillow, putting a matching comforter and a throw pillow on there. Those little things make a huge difference when you're away from home. So I love practicality of those tips.
And the other thing, if you want to start a kitchen in your truck, you can start as simply as getting yourself a Rubbermaid container that can fit at the foot of your bed, especially if you're teaming. Get 2 plates, 2 cups, 2 spoons, 2 knives, 2 forks, 1 knife to chop, and a small cutting board. Get yourself a pot and 1 frying pan and a salt and pepper shaker, and you're set. You get some groceries and some staples. You store all of that. You can put the lid on top of that, put in a little mat, get your little cutting board, and you literally have a place that you cook on top of. One of the things that I use to cook with is a butane stove. It works great inside of the truck and doesn't require power. And butane is only $2. You can get it at Walmart or at the TA, so it's easy to replace. And you have a really hot little temper thing that you can fry up an egg. You can cook up a steak, make some chicken. You can cook just about anything. If you can't afford a microwave, it's a really cheap and inexpensive way to get started. And it's easy to store. But that's how I started, was just with a simple box, because I was teaming and I needed a way to be able to have something better than truck stop food. We all know that right now the price of groceries are very high, even just at the regular grocery store, and at truck stops, they just are 3-4 times as high. Yeah, I've got some goals of being able to go into a truck stop and grab truck stop ingredients and make something gourmet out of it, which is possible. I plan on showing people how to do that. But if you can, if you can do some of these things and take advantage of, you can have your groceries delivered to you now by DoorDash. Yes. Last year, I saved almost $600 in delivery fees by paying a $100 fee to DoorDash. And almost everywhere I go, they'll deliver both, groceries and food from the restaurant. So I've saved a ton of money doing that. It saves me from having
DoorDash subscription also, and I think it's so great. Like I've even, I'm a foodie, so I like to eat some good food, and sometimes I just can't get there even in my size truck. So I like to be able to visit local favorites. But I've even have I've even had DoorDash come and deliver to my truck when I'm waiting at a shipper. You know, I
Yep.
get stuck, you know, my delay. They say it's going to be at least an hour before we can get you on the door, sometimes longer, you know, and I've had them I call them right up and bring them. They just bring that food right to me, and all the drivers
Yep.
are all lined up watching this little driver bring me my lunch. And I'm like, woohoo, enjoying
Yeah,
life.
I know. It's awesome. It's awesome. You know, a couple of other things I do too that help as far as being OTR and solo. I have a dedicated storage unit in Carlisle, Pennsylvania that I can drive up to Bobtail right to the door. And this way
Okay.
I can change out seasonal items. So I don't carry my winter gear with me all year round, and summer gear goes away, decorations for the holidays. And sometimes I change out my cooking gear too. Also, I have a dedicated UPS address, which stands as a physical address in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, that I
Okay.
can drive up to pick up my mail and all my Amazon packages. Because sometimes trying to get your mail while you're driving is really difficult.
Sure it is.
That one, it takes a little bit more. I think it's like a $200 fee for a year to have a box, but it's great. I can
Yes.
have all my Amazon delivered there. It's safe, it's secure until I get a chance to get there and to pick it up. So there are a lot of things you can do to manage your finances, to manage your home time, to manage the way that you're living, so that you're not carrying 100% of everything with you all the time. I get a question that a lot. Like, how do you get that done? Like, well, it
Yeah,
helps to have. Now, I don't have a house, so
Yeah.
because I don't have a house or an apartment, all
Yeah.
that money that I'm not paying out for something that I can't go to
Yeah.
has been given to my children so they could go to college.
Yeah. That's
What you're
awesome.
seeing here is just the last little bit of what I have kept for myself, that I have utilized for myself to make my life better. But you know, when mama's happy, everyone's happy.
Yeah, I love it. You
Keep
know, the other
that in
thing that
mind.
you said that I really liked is that you have plants on your truck. And because, like, I've always had plants in my home. It's like when I'm on the road, it's like I miss having something, you know, the plants
Yeah.
around me. So I love that you did that. Another thing I wanted to share is that you really, you know, talked about photography, and you have some good hobbies that really help you to enjoy your life out there. So tell us a little bit, what is this type of photography, and tell us a little bit about that. We want to see some of your pictures.
Well, so my photography, some people will claim that I am distracted driving. I'm really not. But it's 5-axle photography because there's 5 axles on a semi truck. But my
Yeah,
photography is done at 70 miles an hour. I have a Motorola. What is it? I have
Wow.
I have 2 phones, but my Motorola Edge is the one I use. It's a 128 pixel camera, and I started taking pictures 6 years ago. I would see these fantastic sunrises and sunsets, because Lord knows we're out at all hours of the day and night, and I get to go all these fantastic places. And I just started taking pictures, and I actually have a degree in digital graphic arts. So photography was one of the things that I studied in college, and so I know how to edit photos. And I could not pass up the opportunity to take pictures of all these great places that I get to see daily. And so it's a crapshoot. You know, I don't always get the shot because I'm running past it way too fast. But
Sure.
I've learned a lot of techniques to help me to kind of capture what I'm doing, what I'm looking for. And honestly, it keeps me really engaged in driving because I'm constantly looking ahead, which is what you want for defensive driving anyway.
Yeah.
Constantly being aware of where you are and paying attention. So for me, it's a constant search for what's on the horizon and what I can photograph that's on the horizon. And I literally have thousands of these pictures, and it's
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
my great joy. When I get done at the end of the day, one of my favorite things to do is edit photos. It's really
Yeah.
super relaxing. I listen to music and boom, you know,
Same for me.
I
I do
sleep,
that
you know,
as well.
3 hours later. Yeah.
Well, I love
So
being able to
that's
share with my friends and family where I've been. And, you know, they don't, you know, they're working a 9 to 5 and they don't get to travel all over. So they're like, where is that? That's beautiful. And, you know, so it brings me a lot of joy getting to share the photographs as well. Well, anything else? We're going to wrap up soon. I think I've covered the comments and the questions that were asked. Do you have anything else that you want to share? And then I would like you to tell us a little bit how you ended up in a Volvo commercial, because I'm kind of impressed that I know 2 women that have been in the Volvo commercial series. So share
real
your party
quick,
words and tell us that story, how you ended up in a
Yeah.
Volvo commercial.
real quick, I just want to add, my grandma is going to be 100 years old on January 21st of this next year, January 11th. One of my greatest things is to call her, and grandma will say, "Where are you, honey? I just never know where you are day to day." So I always try to call her from someplace that she's never heard of or been to. So that's one thing that I love doing. How I got into the Volvo commercial. Last year, I went to Salt Lake City for my 40th high school reunion. That's where I grew up, between Southern California and Salt Lake City, Utah. I ended up getting shingles and I was sick for 6 weeks. And when I was finally released to go back to work, I had to pick up a load of salt from Morton Salt right there at the Great Salt Lake. The next morning, I was heading out of town and I got past the TA in Tooele. I got 5 miles down the road and I blew 2 of my tandems because of the weight of the salt. Had to go back and I thought, Salt Lake is just not ready to let me go. And I was so ready to get back on the road. And I went in just dejected because the shop couldn't get me until late that night or the next morning. So I knew I was going to have to wait. So I just went and climbed back in bed. I was still not feeling good because I'd had a really severe case of shingles. Woke up later that morning around noon and I look out on the parking lot and I see all kinds of people running around. I'm thinking, that's odd. And then I see this big white truck with a big purple Volvo backing in. And that scene is actually in the commercial. And I was watching it as it happened. I hopped out and asked what was going on. And they were like, "Oh, we're filming a commercial for Volvo US or, a national commercial." And I was like, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah." And they kind of looked at me and they go, "Hey, you want to be in it?" I'm like, "Heck yeah." I said, "But I don't drive a Volvo and I never have." They go, "That's okay. We just want to, just talk to you." And I'm like, "Sure." And so I went, changed my clothes, put my makeup on. I think I was even wearing maybe this. I'm not even sure. But and they interviewed me and I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know that I actually made it into the commercial until just literally a week ago. I actually kind of forgot about it. And it was on She Trucking that I saw another commercial for another Volvo. That I thought, I wonder if I actually made it in the commercial. And sure enough, I looked it up and there it was. And then I saw, like, on another episode of the same series that Sheree was in it, and I was freaked out.
Yes.
What kind of serendipity is that? I was like, oh my heaven's sakes, that's got to be a sign from God. Believe me, I believe in those signs all day long. Praise Jesus. But I was just like, that is just, I was floored, and I still am to this moment. So kind of a proud moment. Also, a year before I was in the Volvo commercial, I was featured in an article in the New York Times for cooking on my truck.
I love it.
I made it in New York Times in the Volvo commercial. I mean, I don't know if it's just being in the right place at the right time or I built a kitchen that everyone's paying attention to. I'm not sure.
Well, Dina, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so grateful that you're a part of the She Trucking community.
Thank you. It's been a real blessing and a wonderful opportunity. Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Well, we're gonna close out in just a minute and show the Volvo Trucks commercial before we end. But I want to encourage everybody to sign up for the She Trucking Foundation. And if you're not a part of our She Trucking Facebook group, to please join in. And just so many opportunities. We get to meet so many great people like Dina and get to share our stories and network and find out ways to just make the most of the lifestyle that we're living. Whether you're on the road like she and I are, or if you're just doing local. I mean, there's drivers that are finding local work, that are thriving in the industry, staying home with their kids and their family, and are home every night. So there's so many ways to be successful in the trucking industry, and we want to help you with all that. So if you haven't signed up for She Trucking Foundation membership, please do that. So we're going to close out. But again, thanks, Dina, for coming on the show. We look forward. You're welcome to come back anytime. I'd love to catch up with you again and get some more recipes from you. So thanks so much, everybody. Y'all have a good evening. I appreciate y'all.
Good night.
Listen, if anybody's interested in getting into podcasting, grab this book. Go on Amazon, grab this book. It goes with me almost everywhere. This book has like a workbook. It has places you can fill it in. It tells you how to monetize your podcast. It tells you how to set it up. It tells you about sponsorships. It even, listen, go on Amazon and get this book. And this is the Bible for podcasters. Listen, it was ranked number
What if a
one
trucker designed a
for
truck?
in podcasting books.
I'm Joel
Look, right
Morrow,
here.
a driver with over 5 million miles, and I'm headed cross country to show some friends what the new iTorque can do. Today, I'm going to catch up with Tim Ridley, host of Radio Nemo on Sirius XM, and get him out of the studio and behind the wheel where he belongs.
Hey, Tim. Hey, partner, how's it going? Been a while.
Yeah,
good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
What do you have here?
That's the new iTorque, my friend.
Well, you already know what I want. Give me the keys, buddy. Give me the keys. Got people to see. Oh, this is really nice.
Right? Yeah. You ever run 80 mile an hour across here before?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just about right at 80 now.
80, right?
Yeah, and the RPM is about 11 and a half. That's unbelievable. Trucking has been good to me. I really love trucking. And my dad drove. He was a bed bugger. Riding with him, I was completely hooked. That's what I wanted to do, was drive a truck, and moved up through the ranks in management and corporate management, and then Radio Nemo.
Nice.
Still in trucking, but behind the mic in trucking.
Nice, right?
You know, as a matter of fact, I got some of my radio listeners over at the TA and Tool waiting on us. They're ready to see this baby.
Oh, that is awesome. Feedback from some real drivers. That'd be great. Well, let's go check it out.
Yeah. I've been trucking for 10 years. Been independent now for 2 years. Paid cash. Thank you, Grandma, for the truck. I'll be honest, I've never been a Volvo man, but I toured that Volvo. It's a beautiful rig.
May I take a look inside? Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Feels like there's just so much room in that truck.
All the space. I'm 6'4".
Lots of space. Lots of space.
I'm 6'4".
Yes, that is cool.
Wow.
Ergonomics is really key. I want to feel the comforts of home.
How's the fuel?
8.5 miles a gallon at 75 mile an hour.
8.5?
Yes.
At 75? Wow.
If I could get 8.5 miles to the gallon fully loaded, 30% more fuel efficiency is $150 a day extra. I could retire at 60.
And all my research of all the different brands, that is the one that is built out best to accommodate a driver who has to live on the road. And we live on the road.
We love Volvo. When you ride a Volvo, you don't want to ride anything else.
I think it's absolutely genius. You know, you've got a fuel efficient truck that's comfortable and saves you on fatigue as well. It's absolutely game changing. That's freaking cool.
Pleasure meeting you.
It was really a nice pleasure meeting you.
Yeah. Hey, hope we didn't make you late.
Oh, no, no, you're all right, all right.
We met some wonderful drivers at the TA truck stop. It was just so wonderful to be out in the parking lot chatting with drivers.
Right.
To hear the enthusiasm made me happy and touched my heart.
They want a truck that is satisfying to drive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have that with this package in a pretty big way. It's fast, it's powerful, it's fuel efficient. What more do you need?
Really touching to be out here again after so many years. I would run across this so often as a young man. That's one of the things I've always loved about running west, you know, and then being out here on the Salt Flats.
Yeah, the scenery is just awesome.
Yeah, it is. The office with a view. What other office can you sit in to have a view like this?
The view like this.
That's right. And that view is ever changing as well. It's breathtaking.
It's like no other place in the country.
Brother, it's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
All right. Don't be a stranger. We got to get together more often.
Absolutely.
And you take care of that truck too.
Absolutely.
All right?
Be strong.
Join the She Trucking Foundation today and be a part of a supportive community of women in the trucking industry. Unlock exclusive access to valuable resources, including mentorship, educational workshops, and networking opportunities. Whether you're an experienced professional or just starting your trucking journey, She Trucking is here to empower you and help you thrive. Visit www.shetrucking.com to join us and drive your trucking career to new heights.
Welcome to the Enjoying Life podcast. We are with the She Trucking Foundation, and I cannot wait for you to hear our guests today. We have so many great things to cover. Today, I'm going to put a broker in the hot seat. So I'm looking forward to that. You know, the market is tough right now, and drivers and carriers are struggling a lot. And I really think it's a great opportunity for us to hear from a broker and get some information about the best ways to succeed, and she can have some great tips for us. So if you have questions, be sure to pop those into the comments. Share this out so people can join us and hear our discussion. I also love that she's a carrier, so she's got experience on both sides of the table, and it's going to be a fabulous conversation. You know, my show is Enjoying Life OTR, and I care a lot about work-life balance. And I've been saying this a lot these last few months. You know, this year in trucking has been rough, especially for owner-operators. But even those of you that are carriers, you know, we're having some stress about maybe not getting enough miles. And we really just got to work smart these days. You know, trucking is very cyclical, you know, so we have our up times and we have times where, you know, we're all rolling in the money. And then there's times where we're really having to buckle down and be careful. And it feels a little bit more you know, the industry feels a little bit more insecure. And I think we're kind of in one of those times now. So I wanted just to make the opportunity to talk to somebody who's on the broker side and ask her some questions about maybe there's some ways that we can do things better as carriers and build those relationships, and just take the opportunity to learn from somebody with experience on both sides of the table. So I have the honor of welcoming my guest today. Her name is Elizabeth Long. She is a broker, like I said, and a carrier, and I've run freight for them in their brokerage. It's Patriot Star, and she is somebody that I consider to be a real trusted resource in the industry. She and her husband both have been acted like mentors to me, really. And anytime I have a question about the industry or how things are going or something that's happening with my paperwork and contracts or something that's just feeling a little bit uncomfortable to me, I know that I can go to her and ask her as a trusted resource, and she's going to give me factual information. So I'm really honored to have her on the show. So if you could join me welcoming Elizabeth Long.
Thank you for having me on today, Cindy.
Elizabeth, you know I'm a big fan of yours. I love the work that you do. You're one of my favorite brokers. I tell you that all the time, and I really have enjoyed working with you professionally. But even as a friend, I think you have a lot to offer. You know, at She Trucking, we care a lot about equipping, empowering women to thrive in this industry and to make the most of the opportunities that are presented to us in freight. So I've been looking forward to sharing them with you with them and getting them to meet you and hear from your perspective. Can you start out and just share us a little about your career and how you started in the industry, and then what's your role in the industry today?
Absolutely. And I do want to tell you too, the feeling is mutual. I love working with you. You are one of my favorite carriers to work with for so many reasons, what we'll probably get into later. So the way I got started in the industry, to be honest, I never thought I would be in transportation, trucking, logistics. I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be a part of this. But I met my husband, Kenny Long, and we got married, and he had a CDL and owned a truck, and he'd been driving for probably about 15 years when we'd met. And he taught me how to drive. And I'd ridden in the truck with him for a little bit before he taught me how to drive. And then I went and got my CDL, and was fortunate to do that before you had to go to school, and was able to just get on the job training with him. And
let me hop in there real quick. What did you do before this? Like what?
So yeah, that's a great question. So I did a lot of sales. I did car sales. I worked in a bank. But actually I spent a lot of my younger years, I mean, maybe 10 to 15 years in the restaurant business. And, you know, the restaurant business is another job where it's customer service oriented, and you've got to think on your feet and you're on the go, you know? So I don't know. I think restaurant business is really good training for any career, to be honest.
I agree.
So I enjoyed that, but I love what I do now. So Kenny taught me how to drive, and we actually teamed for quite a few years, just the two of us. And we had the opportunity to see all 50 states now. Unfortunately, we didn't see Hawaii and Alaska in the truck, but we've seen all 50 states now. And the good part of that is due to trucking. So I guess I've had my CDL since 2012, and I don't know how many miles I have, but accident free, which is fantastic. And
congratulations. Well done.
Thank you. And I've had a great time traveling with Kenny. So.
Well, we're going to talk about your team driving with Kenny toward the end of the show, but I kind of want to pick your brain about what your primary role in the industry is right now. Can you tell our audience about switching?
Yeah, absolutely. So we started our carrier in 2012, and that's when Kenny and I were driving together. And then over the years, we had started to accrue some of our own customers. And these were customers that we had met through friends, family members who might have referred us, or even just, someone sees us, locally, and they wanted to work with us. And so we had started to accrue. Oh, and actually one of our biggest customers came to us through another truck driver who was working with a customer, and they needed help in the Central Florida area. And she said, you should give Elizabeth a call. So we started to accrue these customers, and it got to the point that there was other shipments then in places that we couldn't handle, that we didn't have our trucks in. And so Kenny and I talked about it in 2017. We decided to make the leap, and we started our freight brokerage. So that was
I don't want to pass this up, because I think you put a point there. I think it is so important, because I hear a lot of people go, I should get my brokerage. For one, a couple of things.
Yes.
You're taking direct freight as a carrier with a customer without a brokerage.
Yes.
Many people owner-operators don't realize that they could do that. Could you talk a little bit about that? So me, I just got one truck, and I do have direct shippers, but can you tell a carrier that's just maybe got one truck or a small fleet how they can go about working directly with the customer?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, it is really important as a carrier, as any business owner, we should always be marketing our business. No matter who we're talking to, everyone we come across should know what we do. And it really helps, because someday someone's going to need something moved, or they're going to have a neighbor that needs something moved, or a boss. And so they can then think of you and reach out to you when they need that shipment moved. So I think that there's a lot of ways that carriers can be marketing themselves. And, it's just as simple as, joining things like chambers of commerce and, even the old fashioned way of going door to door. And there really is a perk when you are a carrier and the actual driver going in to meet a shipper or receiver, and you're talking to them about offering them service, because you are really 100% going to be that service provider, and they're going to have a face with the name of who actually is going to be dealing with their freight. And so you might not have an easy of a time getting into a place like Walmart or Costco, something like that, where they're doing these huge volume shipments. But those smaller mom and pop or smaller, more specialized freight, they're going to look at you and they're going to see the value there. So there's definitely opportunities.
I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, a lot of social media, and they'll say, well, you can't get direct shippers if you've only got one truck. What would you say to that, Elizabeth?
That's baloney. That's total baloney. You can definitely, Kenny and I only had one truck, and sometimes it comes down to just being in the right place at the right time. But to be in the right place at the right time, you've got to be visible. And you've got to make sure that people know that you're available to do work. So.
Okay, I love some things you said. I love telling everybody that I'm a trucker. Everybody I meet knows a trucker.
Yes.
I own a trucking company. So don't miss that, people. That's a great tip right there. It's so bad. You just run into people, give you referrals that just wouldn't have even thought to give a referral. That I didn't even know you'd interested in the new, additional customers. My brother has a warehouse over there, so talk it up. Love that. Great advice. I have another question about really practically, how does it, when I started, I had been booking all my freight through brokers, which many new carriers do that. And then I started venturing out thinking, I think I'm going to just go ahead and get my own direct shippers. And I do have some, but, I had a process about that. But one of the things that made me most nervous is like checking their credit. Like, what's that procedure like? With brokers, I just run it through my factoring company, and it's real easy for me to check a credit of a broker. And, how would I go about doing that as with a direct customer? What would
that really is a challenge. And I don't know that I have all of the answers on that, unfortunately, especially in this economy right now, because there's a lot of businesses that are struggling, maybe even behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So I think that the wisest thing that you can do, when you're getting set up with a new customer, is start off small and set your payment terms. Don't be afraid to ask for payment up front or COD. Meaning cash on demand. Don't be afraid to ask for payment immediately or upfront, because there's a lot of small shippers and receivers that will offer that to you. And if nothing else, maybe set the terms at 15 days, and that can help you get a better handle on, if they are getting behind, sooner. So I think that's
the thing I think people don't realize is that, on the shipper side, they're used to people asking for their credit.
Yes.
That you're going to spend a lot of money on fuel. You're going to have to pay your driver. And so they're expecting, that's a very normal part of their, business, whether they're signing up for a new brokerage to run their freight or they're signing up with the carrier directly. It's a very common practice to ask to see, a credit history and ask for referrals of, so I'm always say, just ask them you can do a credit check. And
yes. There are some resources with that, and it's slipping my mind right now, but there is a big resource where you can check credit on basically any business. I don't know that it's always free, but you can also check on things like Google. And, sometimes factoring companies will have these shippers in there if someone else has factored their freight. But really just do a little bit of research, and, if you are actually showing up there at the shipper or receiver, keep an eye out on things. How do things look like they're going? Are the employees looking relaxed, or are they stressed? You'll hear things if you're in and out. So
yes. And Google, even just a Google search in itself, because people are going to write reviews.
Join the She Trucking Foundation today and be a part of a supportive community of women in the trucking industry. Unlock exclusive access to valuable resources, including mentorship, educational workshops, and networking opportunities. Whether you're an experienced professional or just starting your trucking journey, She Trucking is here to empower you and help you thrive. Visit www.shetrucking.com to join us and drive your trucking career to new heights.